Well. Thank God it's Friday, and it's another edition of the AM show coming to you live from Joy News, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This morning, what do we have in store for you? We start by serving you the AM news, of course, anchored by Denisia Pomaje, and then Kofi Kapito, the Chief Executive Officer of Consumer Protection Agency, and Afelmoni, former GJA President, will be joining us to review the various stories captured in the newspapers. Muftan Abdul, being a Friday, will bring you Prime Take for AM Sports. Then Benjamin Akapo will be sharing his blunt thoughts with us. And then we get into our big stories. Now, the Attorney General, true to their words, have filed an appeal at the Supreme Court, seeking to overturn a Court of Appeal ruling that acquitted and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kesel Atuforsen and businessman Richard Jakpa in the highly publicized criminal trial. The Attorney General contends majority of the judges misdirected themselves in the application of the fundamental principles regarding the standard of proof required in determining whether a case has been made for the accused person to answer. So we will interrogate that issue. Also, identified as government official 1 but exonerated, the Office of the Special Prosecutor closes investigations against former President John Dramani Mahama, clearing him of alleged corruption in the famous Airbus scandal. We will hear from the National Communications Officer of the NDC, as well as various conversations coming your way on this special Friday edition of the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi, and Benjamin Akapu. So join us with your comments and your thoughts, either via phone or across all social media platforms at Joy News on TV. Welcome aboard the AM show. Let's start with the AM news now.
Hello, it's Friday. Welcome to AM News. My name is Denisia Pomaje. Now, the governing New Patriotic Party has turned into the OSP for its latest work on Airbus scandal, describing the investigation as shoddy because both courts in the UK and US found Airbus SE culpable of bribery. According to the OSP, there's no evidence to show that all parties, including former President John Mahama and his brother named in the Airbus scandal, indeed received bribes from employees and associates of Airbus. Special Prosecutor Kisie Ejebi indicates that their investigations did not establish there was any criminality in the deal, even though there was evidence of correspondence between the parties involved. The NPP says this work by the OSP was lazy. More from the NPP later, but first, here's Special Prosecutor exonerating former President John Mahama.
The processes leading to the purchase by the government of Ghana of 3 C-295 twin turboprop military transport aircraft from Airbus followed substantially the same pattern. Parliament approved the proposed transactions in 2011. In accordance with the laws of Ghana, in the estimation of the OSP, there was nothing remarkable about the deal, and it certainly would not have found its way in the UK and US deferred prosecution agreements and made headlines around the world, but for the involvement of former President John Dramani Mahama and his younger brother of the full blood, Samuel Adam Foster, also known as Samuel Adam Mahama, and his associates, as recounted in the UK and US deferred prosecution agreements. The OSP investigation found no evidence that former President Mahama was involved or played any role in the procurement and maintenance of the agency relationship between Airbus and Foster and his associates in respect of the purchase by the government of Ghana of military transport aircraft from Airbus. And it appears to the OSP that the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal were actuated by good intentions on the part of the former president. It also appears that Foster and his associates became involved as intermediaries in the Airbus Ghana deal after the decision by the government of Ghana in preference of the C-295 aircraft. Therefore, it seems that Foster's Airbus intermediary role at the time his brother served as the vice president of Ghana was a case of luckless coincidence that attracted the disapproval of the UK and US authorities. The OSP found no evidence that suggests that the involvement of Foster as an intermediary of Airbus and the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal between Airbus and the government of Ghana amounted to any corruption and corruption-related offense in respect of which the OSP has a mandate. However, it ought reasonably to have occurred to former President Mahama and the government of Ghana that the familiar relationship between former President Mahama and Foster and the direct participation by former President Mahama in the communications and meetings with Airbus officials were bound to raise reasonable suspicions of improper conduct and dealings, notwithstanding any claims to good faith conduct and above-board dealings, especially in light of the fact that during the first Airbus campaign, former President Mahama was a chairman of the Armed Forces Council by reason of his position as the vice president, and therefore a very key decision maker. Such close proximity dealings by such elected high officials of the Republic and their kin and close associates on behalf of the Republic should neither be viewed favorably nor encouraged, as they give rise to reasonable suspicion of influence peddling and conflict of interest, never mind any intended good faith on the part of the vice president or the president.
But the governing MPP says the OSP has done a shoddy investigation because both courts in the UK and US found them culpable of bribery. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the party.
Individual commits a crime outside and you are gathering evidence. What stops you from taking the evidence from there? Is there any law in Ghana that says that you can pick a judgment of a competent court of jurisdiction in another jurisdiction to establish your case and prosecute your case in your country? There is no such law. And that is why I say that the OSP has done a lazy job. Because the OSP did a lazy job because you can't conclude by saying that because you don't have the facts at hand, you don't have all the facts at hand, hence you cannot prosecute that case. Did he go to ask for the judgment? What was the material used in the judgment in the UK?
And he says he did.
So he could have done that. He could have done that and get the document. Has he been denying the judgment? We know how a judgment is written. All the opinions of judges sitting on the panel will indicate their position and quote the necessary laws to back their decision. And he would have been able to establish those particular facts. But what is key in Ghana now is that we have an individual who has been confirmed in the UK, and then the special prosecutor has established the case that he is indeed the government official one, because he was the vice president. He later became president. What was he doing with a contract where it is confirmed by special prosecutor that he was sending emails directly by himself to Airbus as a company? Was he the contractor? Was he the contractor? He was not the contractor. So he has no business to be sending emails on such a contract. That is very dubious, very scandalous, very, very bad to the state of Ghana.
Well, the NDC disagrees, insisting the findings by the OSP reaffirms the MPP's sinister claims against John Mahama. Mustafa Bandi is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC.
What is very important here is that President Mahama stand exonerated, cleaned by the special prosecutor. We all know that both in the UK and in the US, there was nothing substantial. There was no culpability against him. But what happened here in Ghana was a politically motivated propaganda, and they are standing to use that propaganda again, which has fallen flat on the floor. It has fallen flat for lack of evidence, falling flat for lack of merit, falling flat because if you look at the people who intend to even use that, to hang on that, they are worse. If a relative engaged in business whilst you're in government was a crime, President Akufo-Addo should have been publicly executed. Publicly. Because as for him, he's worse. We've never had a president who have syndicated family takeover of government like he did. he didn't just, Ken Ofori-Atta didn't just have a company that did business. He is a relative of the president, who was our finance minister, under whom President Akufo-Addo and his children siphoned state money through contracts that have yet been established by the Auditor General. So these things are not political conversations. This is what the Auditor General have said.
Now, away from the Airbus scandal, armed officers of the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service, under the supervision of the Accra Circuit Court and the Narcotics Control Commission, has burnt 242 sacks of marijuana, 16 kilograms of cocaine, and buckets of heroin as part of efforts to clamp down on the production, sale, and usage of narcotic substances in Ghana. The move is also part of a broader strategy by law enforcers to break down the criminal network involved in the trade of illicit drugs in the country. Latif Idris was at the Osu Beach, where the destruction took place, and has come through with this report.
242 50-kilogram size of fertilizer sacks filled with compressed marijuana set on fire. The substance is usually lit in blunt papers, or what others call rolling papers, and sandwiched between two welcoming lips. Unfortunately and frustratingly for users of the substance which is worth market value of about hundreds of thousands of Ghana cedis, is up in flames here at the Osu Beach.
We are here to destroy some substances, cocaine, dry leaves, that's cannabis. After those cases have been dealt with by the court, judgment has been delivered. Orders were made for their destruction. That is why we are here.
If you look at the substances being destroyed today, somebody will say that, can we give it to company or institution that have been given license to trade in cannabis to use them?
As for that one, I don't have that power to say anything concerning that.
Can you share with us the circumstances under which these substances were seized?
The people were arrested by the police and then charged and brought to court. And judgment has been delivered in the cases. That is why we are here for their destruction.
Do you have the market value?
As for the market value, see, that one I can't speak to it because I don't deal in it. Some of the cases started 2020 till now.
So this very site, as you look at it, may be a very frustrating scene for users of the narcotic substance, but the law has to take its course. Latif Idris, Joy News, from the Osu Beach here in Accra.
And now to health. The Presbyterian Hospital, Agogo, has commissioned a refurbished computerized tomography CT scan facility and a wellness clinic in their efforts to meet the highest healthcare standards. Patients in and around Asante Achem Agogo in need of advanced diagnostics have now been spared the long travel to Kumasi or Accra. Here's a report by Clinton Yeboah.
The Presbyterian Hospital Agogo is on the path of becoming a tertiary health service provider. The 93-year-old facility usually uses typical clinical diagnostics in patients' treatment, which is not favorable in an era of evidence-based medicine. To address this situation, the Presbyterian Hospital Agogo has unveiled a new self-funded computerized tomography scan unit. The CT scan is a type of imaging that uses X-ray techniques to create detailed images of the body to plan medical, surgical, or radiation treatment. Radiologist at Presbyterian Hospital Agogo, Francis Collins Bimpong, says doctors can now refer delicate medical conditions requiring scans, which will aid patient monitoring.
Previously, patients had to travel long distances from Agogo to Kumasi to have these CT scans done. Now, people within our catchment areas in Agogo, in Konongo, in Fominkoko, even towards Ejuso can now come to access such important facility.
Additionally, the hospital opened its first wellness clinic to provide accessible services including comprehensive health screening, lifestyle counseling, and nutritional guidance for patients and staff. General Manager of the Presbyterian Hospital Agogo, Reverend Ezekiel Amadu Daribi, says the new installments reinforce the hospital's commitment to provide quality and standardized healthcare services.
This is the only secondary facility in the whole of this area. And therefore, in as much as we have dreams of becoming a tertiary facility, we think it is also appropriate that we continue to expand the services so that our teaming clients will have a better health service delivery.
The clergy and heads of the Presbyterian Health Services joined in the opening of these facilities, including the unveiling of an official lapel brooch of the Presbyterian Hospital Agogo. It was on the sidelines of the inauguration of the Advisory Board of the Presbyterian Nursing and Midwifery Training College Agogo. Representative of Farm Access, George Afo, assured of continuous support to make the hospital thrive. The chairman of the Advisory Board, Reverend David Abuaji Dankwa, appreciated the church for the tax bestowed on them, promising to fulfill responsibilities diligently. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Now, let me bring you an interesting story. His aspiration was to become a professional footballer, but this turned into a mirage after suffering a shoulder injury. 24-year-old Stephen Echampong, unperturbed but resolved not to become a burden on his family after only completing his secondary education, is now making a living out of shoe washing in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. Emmanuel Bright Kweku caught up with the SHS graduate who is raking in profits from what some describe as a basic home chore to escape Ghana's unemployment situation plaguing the youth.
With a basin of water, soap and his brush, Stephen makes a livelihood out of a chore one would deem a personal task to keep clean, shoe washing. This has been his daily source of income after graduating with a high school certificate.
For one, I'm here, and I'm started sneaker washing, and I started 3 years.
I used to help someone sell sneakers. When the market became slow, I decided to focus on shoe washing as a business.
So, as an IFA, say you want to auto. And I'm saying, I meet me there no quite business. Like say you be sharing the name or the banner my day, Mahama. No miska.
Stephen Echampong, 24 years old, had dreams of becoming a professional footballer, but this was truncated after suffering a shoulder injury in 2017. In this vicissitude of life, he resolved not to succumb, but make the best out of his situation.
I used to play football when I completed school. I stopped after suffering a shoulder injury.
After COVID, I started right now,
I doubt I did be able to achieve my dreams.
As the eldest of 3 siblings, his mother was questioned for not allowing him focus on continuing his education to a higher level. People asked why I didn't allow him further his education. Because he was obsessed with football, I couldn't do anything about it. I'm glad at what he's doing now. Stephen now plies his trade along the cramped veranda of his mother's house at Bantama, a suburb of Kumasi. At his mini shoe shop, he sells these varieties of pre-owned sneakers and Crocs neatly cleaned. Social media has come in as a handy advertising tool for him. Each morning, Stephen finds himself hooked on TikTok to attract more customers while he inspires others.
There is one lady.
There was a lady who told me she was inspired by what I do and would love for me to help her establish one in Accra.
My inspire no. The mayor to be so be oyebi. Our Accra. Aha. Into be some kind of ambassador.
I like how he washes my shoes.
And he said, for Air Force, Jordan, different sneakers.
The Ghana Statistical Service reports about 1.9 million youth in Ghana are neither in school, employed, nor in training. With this unemployment situation walloping the youth in the country, Stephen is committed to his craft despite being belittled.
Some girls were teasing me initially, but I'm not perturbed. I know what I want to achieve. I plan on expanding the business.
Very big. Maybe our branches.
I didn't need you home. Momo say, woman,
he should be focused on what he loves. He should save the proceeds from it for the future. I may be willing to support him, but he must save some cash.
Now, so they are supporting me.
With his gaze fixed on a happy ending, Stephen anticipates a better future from his trade while he inspires others to make enough from the little they have. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Well, that's an interesting story from Emmanuel Bright Kweku. Now, moving on, the Cape Coast Technical University has emphasized the need for industries to relocate to Cape Coast to foster the growth of Ghana's ancient capital. The university asserts that Cape Coast offers a unique environment conducive for business development. Speaking at a lecture honoring the 25th anniversary of the Paramount Chief of Cape Coast, Dean of the School of Graduate Studies, Professor Kwame Bamfoije, highlighted the city's potential for business growth.
Professor Emmanuel Kwame Bamfoije indicated in his lecture to honor the Omahine of the Ogwa traditional area, Osaberma Kwesiata II's 25th anniversary on the throne, that Cape Coast offers a peaceful environment for businesses to thrive. He called on industries and other businesses to take advantage of the environment to bring in more businesses.
It is true, Cape Coast, as compared to other regions, might be having many industries there. Ours, we cannot count many of them here. There are only just a few. However, when we put our hands together, definitely change that narrative, people will say that Cape Coast is a place of good business. And if you recall, in recent development that you can see, even there's now China Mall coming up, which have been built around Third Bridge. iSense is also putting up their foundation close to the opposite DVLA there. Other businesses are coming up. This rice factory that we have seen, it is here in Cape Coast, and they are producing about 1,200 bags a day. Looking at the number of workers that they will engage in this level. So if another individual or other investors come over to see Cape Coast as a beacon of hope, usually Cape Coast has the necessary facility that you have. In terms of electricity issue, even though there might be some challenges, it is not as rampant as other cities. Here is quite constant. So when you have your power, you are able to do your job effectively. There's peace in this town, and it's easier for you to move around in terms of vehicular movement. So investors should come and invest in Cape Coast. And the residents of Cape Coast should embrace the crab as a means of positive development rather than negative thoughts.
He spoke on the significance of the crab, the insignia of Cape Coast.
So usually the crab has positive connotation rather than negative connotation. And if we as people in Cape Coast try to learn from the crab, we would be able to see the necessary development that we would want to see. Indeed, those who have embraced the crab symbolism, practice it, have seen positive light in terms of their development. As we have indicated, they are very good in terms of resilience. They are very good in terms of adaptability. Adaptability means that at times when there are difficult moments, they do not give up, but they try as best to adapt to the situation and make good use of that situation that they find themselves.
Vice Chancellor of the Cape Coast Technical University, Professor Kweku Educhum Eyimboachi, paid a glowing tribute to Osaberma Kwesiata's pioneering role in keeping the peace of Cape Coast.
Nana is a respected leader, a cultural icon, and advocate for development and progress in Ogua traditional area. I am a living testimony. I'm in Mebetna 1981. So I've seen Cape Coast from 1981 to 2024. And I've seen Cape Coast from 99, 98 to date. Intiembunse Manana.
Osabe Makwesiata II thanked the university for the honor done him.
Well, it's now time for business update with my favorite person, Benjamin Akapo.
And I'm taking the baton from my favorite person as well, Denisia Poma-Eje. On now to our first business story. Ghana's remittances have witnessed some significant increments to reach $3.5 billion ending June this year. This is based on data picked up from the Bank of Ghana. There's more in this report.
In June last year, the country got $2.5 billion when it comes to remittances. However, it saw some significant jump to hit $3.5 billion at the end of June this year. When you look at the full year numbers for 2023, the country realized $5.1 billion. But for the Bank of Ghana, the strong growth in the numbers can be linked to some fresh measures implemented to close all the loopholes when it comes to transfers into the country. If this trend is anything to go by, then it's likely that Ghana will end the year with an improved position when it comes to the end of year numbers for remittances. The development is good for the country's dollar reserves and could go a long way to help stabilize the Ghana cedi.
Well, on our second story, Ghana has been ranked 6th behind Morocco and ahead of peers like Tunisia and Nigeria in the latest Where to Invest in Africa 2020 report. Ghana represents a substantial market on the continent as it tops among the West African peers on the ranking. There's more in this report.
Discounting the two highly desirable but tiny islands, Seychelles and Mauritius, Ghana is the 4th most investable country in the model behind Egypt, South Africa and Morocco. With a GDP of $76 billion and a population of some 33.5 million people, Ghana represents a substantial market. Further, Ghana is among the top 10 for urbanization, innovation, political stability, personal freedom and employment. It also ranks favorable on corruption and tops the list of import concentration. Critical to macroeconomic stability is addressing high public debt and inflation, particularly against the backdrop of a 3-year, $3 billion extended credit facility program with the IMF. There are positive signs on the fiscal front. The report said fiscal consolidation is broadly on track with an estimated deficit of 4.6% of GDP at the end of 2023, significantly lower than the 10.7% deficit in 2022. At 15.7% of GDP in 2023, revenues and grants reached the same level as 2022 despite lower oil revenues. By 2027, growth is forecast to benefit from increased gold and oil export as new projects come online. Ghana is followed by Tunisia, Senegal and Nigeria.
Now segue into our currency market for the day. That's it for business, ceding to my favorite person, Denisia Poma-Eje.
Benjamin, my favorite person. And that's it for AM News. But right after this is News Review. We'll be joined by Kofi Kapito, Chief Executive Officer of the Consumer Protection Agency, and Afil Moni, former GJA President. My name is Denisia Poma-Eje. Have a lovely weekend.
We're back. It's time for the AM News Review. And right before we get to our guests this morning, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helps us bring you this segment every weekday morning. What are they offering? If you're a man, they say come to them for free prostate screening. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. And here's where you can locate them. Here on Accra, Pentex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaje State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hansua, and Esiama and Zema. If you'd like to reach them via the phone lines, these are the numbers to call. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Now, joining me in the studio this morning, we have two supercalifragilisticexpialidocious gentlemen. I knew I would get them with that. Kofi Kapito is Chief Executive, Consumer Protection Agency, and we have former GJA President, the Ghana Journalists Association, Afeo Money. He says the other name I shouldn't mention because it is colonial name.
Colonialism.
I love your outfits this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This one is super.
My niece actually sells this. It's called Keche.
Keche?
Yes.
Okay, so you are looking stylish this morning. Yes. Were you Keche?
Were you me Keche?
Keche is a Ombe you me Keche.
Remember I can say Ombe you Keche. They are on the Patrice Lumumba Road in the old Georgia Hotel building.
I see. I see. Okay, we are now we're now back for advertisement. What are you wearing? I know there's this gentleman who clothes you as well. What are you wearing this morning? This looks
Oman.
really nice.
Again, yeah, Oman.
Oman?
Yeah, Oman.
Oman doing the most.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I am also...
Who are you?
Who am I wearing? I'm going to give you details shortly, since you want to do buga. There's a young man who is doing some amazing stuff, and he's the one I am wearing. He's called Mudasiru, Siru Africa for short. So you can actually call him, and I'll do this at the end as well, 0557 029 138. He's available on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram at Siru-Africa, Siru-Africa. Young man doing amazing things. If you love what I have on, then you might as well reach out to him. You see, I've beaten you guys.
Because you have the mic.
Because I have the mic. But you also have a mic. In our workroom.
Only one is controlling. Sure.
All right, gentlemen, let's make the most of the time we have, starting with your minute and a half of what you have, that burning issue on your chest this morning. I'll start with you, Bluebird. How old are you? I am 10 years old. I feel money.
Mine is a piece of advice enveloped in humility to His Excellency the President, not to plunge headlong into controversies.
The President?
Yeah, the President, not to, yeah.
Okay.
The most consequential office of the land is not immune from controversies. But at the same time, he should do what is humanly possible not to envelop himself in controversies which will come with all kinds of verbal stones and erode his brand. Whether I like it or not, he occupies a special place in history. The Free SHS will extol his name forever. But at the same time, he should be mindful of the Peace Force, especially in the pronouncement he makes in his speeches to the nation. This is a reference to who really founded Kwame Nkrumah. Not too long ago, somebody added a preface, "Your Kwame Nkrumah," and that ignited a huge controversy and fury. As expected, there was barrage of verbal stones against that person. So this tells you that there's some aura, there's something surrounding Kwame Nkrumah. So if if you don't take care and you step on those landmines, political landmines, you suffer the consequences. So His Excellency, last week we happened to be in a program, but I didn't have the opportunity to verbalize this concern and a piece of advice. I believe it will be forwarded to you. Do as much as possible not to plunge headlong into needless controversies. I take.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you've heard as well of, and it just baffles my mind sometimes. You know, the former Speaker of Parliament,
Michael,
Right Honourable
Senior.
Aaron Mike Okwe. Senior.
Yeah.
Right. But the other one is not Aaron. He is Aaron Mike Okwe.
Oh, okay.
So Mike Okwe Jr., but Aaron, that's why I added Aaron to it. Also wades in and says, and today...
It's like Herbert and Walker Books.
sort of. Today, when I share my blunt thoughts, I'll get into that as well. But then he also comes in and says, oh, if you're enjoying human rights, it's only the MPP you should thank. You shouldn't thank Kwame Nkrumah or anything of the sort. I know Kwame Nkrumah had his excesses, but to say, I mean, it's almost as though you were saying, as for him, human rights, it were... I don't know, Kofi Kapito. Maybe you want to take a bite of that. If you do, before you get into your own issue.
Not quite. You see, the way we do politics in Ghana reminds me about how Trump has changed the political landscape in America.
Yeah.
Okay, he's behaving like an African leader. I mean, and this is the first time that I lived in America for 20-something years. I just got back last Monday.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, quote unquote, we say we are doing democracy, we're doing politics. We don't want to move away from it. Okay, and we do these things like little kids at the playground. Nay. I poke you, you poke me. It's not going to help us. But the reason why I want the 1 minute is, you know, Ghana is a beautiful country. Somebody said a joke that when God created the world, Angel Gabriel asked God, where is this small island that you've given them everything?
That joke is, some people find it offensive, but
it's
you
not
go
offensive.
ahead.
I'll say it because I am also here. Okay, so then you say, oh, you wait till you see the people are put in there.
Yeah.
And no, let me, you see, Mr. Kapo, we are Ghanaians. Let's talk like Ghanaians sometimes so that Ghana can be better. This ostrich thing that we do, look, I travel, and after a week, I'm in a hurry to come back because I love Ghana, I miss Ghana. When I get back, in my neighborhood, somebody who knows very well thinks he has the right to take a road and put a building on a culvert.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point? And the question is, I'd like to say thank you to the Minister for Local Government. Martin J. Kosa. I mean, sometimes the assemblies, I don't know what is wrong with our assemblies. They wait for something to be done before they react. Why do I have to go all the way to the local government minister for me to have this guy told not to do what he's doing? So you ask yourself, some of the assemblies, are they really working? And in other jurisdictions, like maybe I get a chance, you know this two thing that I hear the vice president is talking about.
Yeah.
He's going to bring it back.
And that if we had done it the right way, instead of maybe 700 million, we could be earning 2-point-something billion.
We can even earn more than that. I traveled from Washington to New York. My tour was almost $60 one way, in and out, $120.
But you're moving from coast to coast.
No, I'm talking, but I'm going from Accra to Kumasi. What is it?
Yeah, but you're moving from coast to coast.
It's coast to coast too. The same way it's from New York to Washington.
But coast to coast, the difference in span, Washington D.C.
Washington D.C. to New York.
To New York.
Yeah, it's a different state.
Well,
I'm not going from Virginia to Maryland though. I'm going from Washington to New York. But the question is, like he said, I agree with him. If we had done it properly, because these people sometimes don't consult. Look, parking, enforcement, do you know is the number one revenue generating for like Europe, North America, because you have to pack. Look.
So that journey you did, even if you're doing it, let me see, by
road.
By road, that's approximately 225 miles.
Yes.
Which is approximately 4 hours of travel. Okay.
And then from Kumasi to Accra to Kumasi, how many
it should
hours?
be shorter, but we spend about 3 hours.
Because of the way we do things. Are you getting my point? Why are we spending all that time on this Achimota or Fanko? Was it in Sawo?
Yeah, I see.
Why? It doesn't make any sense. We don't even work at night. Other countries.
So the bit he says about everybody, regardless, even if you're using it or not, we have to create a system where you are all paying for the tolls and all of that. How do you feel about it?
I take a taxi from JFK and I'm going to my house and the taxi driver goes over a toll bridge. Do you know I, the passenger, I pay for it? Ask anybody. Yeah, for the toll. I, the passenger, I pay for it.
So you're saying we should go ahead with the tolls, right?
It's doable. If only they will allow some people who have expertise instead of these political people. Okay, sometimes people who do this don't even have any iota about what they are doing.
Okay.
You know, so to me, Ghana is a beautiful place, but unfortunately, the people I have a problem with.
You are one of us.
And that's what I'm saying. I said I'm here.
Okay. Okay.
All
right. Let's get into the papers now.
Let's do a crusade and see how we can change Ghana.
No, Ghana changing starts with us, all of us. You can't sit on the fence and think it will be done. But you see, my problem is when you have people follow a certain trajectory when it comes to rhetoric. And that's what we've seen, especially in the Fourth Republic. Usually I don't want to go into 1979, the Constitution. I don't want to go into other jurisdictions. The Fourth Republic, with the Gen Zs know, which all of us know, how has it served us? And you have all these people waxing lyrical, talking, we'll do this, we'll do that now, we'll vote for me, and we'll do this with our gold and our oil, vote for me, and you'll get phones for 1 CD and 2 CDs, vote for me, and there'll be a 24-hour economy, this and that. There are so many things flying around. I'm wondering how many of them are actually meant. You know? I'm seriously wondering because
I agree with you.
While you talk about followers in any institution, right? That's why we call some people leaders.
Yes.
They are supposed to
lead,
chart a certain path
and lead
for others to follow. If the leaders themselves are not leading,
I agree with you.
Well, what do you think happens?
The media have
let's
role to ensure that such leaders are held accountable. They should match their promises against delivery for the people to see.
Yeah, well, let's get into the papers. So I'll start with mine, go very quickly, and then we'll get into the other stories. Let me see, there's this story here. I think later I should.
You know what is funny in front of the newspapers?
Pardon me?
The newspapers about this OSP thing. There are about 5 or 6 newspapers here, right? I think the only paper that actually got it right was the Daily Graphic.
Yeah. Of course, if you read the Ghanaian publisher, you will get a certain feel. I'm leaving it there. If you read the Daily Guide, you will get a certain feel. If you read the Custodian.
I'm talking about even the front page.
Yeah.
Mahama is government official #1, publisher. Daily Guide, Mahama is government official #1, SP. This one, government, the same thing. It's only the Daily Graphic that got the story that Airbus scandal, OSP clears Mahama. I'm not an NDC person.
How does that, you know, and I've always said here that I can almost guess one story. I can prognosticate and know how certain papers will report that same story. And it's so skewed, it is crazy.
If you want to skew the story, I don't have a problem. But don't misprint or don't mislead the front page. Okay,
but that's the whole idea.
Graphic says Airbus scandal, OSP clears Mahama. Maybe their story is even much more accusing the OSP than this one.
Yeah. But let the bottom truth come first.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's get into them. So the Daily Graphic, Airbus scandal, OSP clears Mahama. AG appeals Atoforsen, Jakpa acquittal. New gold refinery opens. Vice President demands responsible gold sourcing. To whom can NDC sneak through supposed cracks in NPP? That's the question. And then $155 million coastline restoration project launched. On the back page, President cut short for dualization of Adenta Dodowa Road. I believe that was after he paid a visit to the Logos Hope, that shipping vessel with books, always passionate about such issues. I see him in the same attire he had there. So good job, Mr. President, going round. So the president performed a symbolic sword-cutting ceremony at Dodowa to commence the dualization of the Adenta Dodowa Road project. The project, which began on March 25th this year and is being undertaken by Oswald Investment Limited, an indigenous Ghanaian firm, is 19% done. The 22-kilometer road project is expected to be completed in 36 months. You know, while this is heartwarming, I always have problems. When I read stories like this one. You know why? Because if in the election we're about to have,
in the next 4 months,
if power changes hands, this project
will stop.
I nearly said something. You mark it down. This project, if you are not careful, the contractor, this and that.
I mean, eye on this.
I wish we could have a system where we compelled our political parties constitutionally. Don't start a project, especially within the last 1.5, 2 years, that will last longer than your tenure. Execute projects that you can complete within. Look at Agenda 111.
Look, let me tell you what.
Again, in the name of...
You could have a very bad situation. Look at Saglemi.
Because you know why?
Saglemi is a bad case.
Let's have the money he was making.
Saglemi is indefensible. At the time, we are facing such a huge housing deficit. These facilities have been allowed to rot. People are crying for accommodation. And thankfully, the new minister, Kojo Ponkuma, has initiated moves to get the private sector to rehabilitate and get people to occupy them. But it's such an indictment on our sense of responsibility as a nation. It's bad. Meanwhile, the directive principles of state polity underlines the need for succeeding government to continue projects started by the previous administration. This is a constitutional provision which is begging for implementation. So as we move forward as a nation, we should do the needful by continuing projects started by previous government. His Excellency, the former President Dramani Mahama, has promised to complete all projects started by his predecessor if he wins the presidency. But this is something the media should keep the spotlight on to ensure that if indeed he ascends the presidency again, he will fulfill this promise.
Kofi, and here's something that I often say. It doesn't matter if there's corruption in there, right? Still execute the project. Deal with those who engaged in the corruption, but don't let the taxpayer lose out.
Because we, the taxpayers, we don't even know what our responsibilities are, honestly. Because if we did, we will not allow these people to get away with murder. And we've been doing this since, like you said, the Fourth Republic. Okay, this nonsense excused by this governments that it is in the pipeline. We are working on it very soon. You know, it annoys me.
Do you know the most annoying one?
Which one?
Oh, the project is 60% complete, 30% complete. When you leave office, if the project is not complete, what have you done?
You see, my question is, and this is what people, I get angry, not just this particular time, when our government, the leaders or the president, the vice president, the chief of staffs and blah, 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 they go to a funeral and they say the president has donated 50,000 cedis. Is it his money? Are you getting my point? Yeah. It is our money. Because we know how much the president earns.
Yeah.
The president cannot afford to give 50,000 cedis to people. Yeah. And then we applaud.
That thing, I've spoken about it time without number and said that whole sham of going out and, like you rightly said, it's not their money. They're not giving us their money.
But we should also look at the other side. For instance, the current president had a revenue stream. He owns a law firm, which is extremely well, which is a source of revenue, in addition to what he earns as president. And what he earns from the private sector is not comparable at all to what he is
Mr.
as
Afemoni,
president. Yeah.
Do you know Trump was in trouble? Why? Because of his tax declaration.
Yeah.
Okay, we are jokers in this country. There's no way you can convince me what you are telling me this morning. Because if anything, we should know the president's tax returns, how much he made, and how much he paid in
Do we
taxes.
even know for certain? Do we know for certain his assets and liabilities before becoming president and his assets and liabilities now?
By using a vehicle of RTI, we can.
Master, RTI, Joy FM, I think you've written for something. What has happened? We see. Look, I don't like when we
others
do
have
this.
succeeded.
No, I don't like.
Fetching,
no, it's what they want to give you. It's what they will give you. Because the system is not transparent.
Right.
Okay, my issue is, as a taxpayer, let me tell you what, after voting, I don't care which party is in power. Because my wishes, my life, should be complete with whoever that is the president of the country. I don't care about NDC, I don't care about NPP. I am with Afafanto now. If we have opportunity and we mess up,
this news.
I've always, yes, I'm just saying, if we mess up.
Is this the first time you're mentioning this?
No.
Oh, you said it before?
No, it's all the place.
I mean, being with the Afafanto movement.
Oh, all the place.
I see.
Yeah,
okay. I've never heard you say it.
Let me, because maybe you don't, after this place, you don't do too much. That's why. Let me tell you what. To me, it's annoying that after election, the government behaves as if he's only there for his party people. Okay, even the MPs, if you win in a constituency, how do you know that the other people did not also vote for you?
Yeah.
And then they come into power. They only care about the party people in the constituency. So at any given time, Mr. Money, Ghana will never work. You know why? When there's a change of government, when there's a change of leadership, half of the population becomes redundant.
Yeah.
Even toilet. Let's vote this election. Let NDC win this election. See how people will go and beat people over public toilet.
But I think that is a thing of the past, though. I think I saw it. Was it under Akufo? And that was it.
Massa,
I've never seen that again.
People, I say we are going to go into an election.
Maybe we're taking a radar off.
No, we are going to go into an election. Okay, look, let me tell you what. It is funny how some people think because they've been given some small power, they behave as if.
Okay, so let's make that your final point. So
no, I'm just saying that Ghana can work.
Okay.
I believe in Ghana. The only thing is we've had, I'm not talking about we've had poor leadership. Period.
Okay.
It's poor leadership. And that's what I say, we've had. Our vision is so short. We don't even plan 20 years from now. The Ghana, was it the Millennium, was it development thing for Ghana? Was it
Millennium Challenge?
No. Ghana Development Plan. What's it called? The one that...
is it the NDPC? Yes.
Yeah, NDPC. Yeah. Which of the governments?
Right.
Come on now. We are jokers.
All right. Let's get into other stories very quickly. New gold refinery opens. Vice President demands responsible gold sourcing. The first gold refinery in which the state holds a stake has been commissioned to facilitate a new vision of adding value to a significant portion of the country's gold. With a capacity to refine 400 kilograms of doré gold, that is raw gold, per day, or 132 tons of 24 carats, 99.99% pure gold annually, the Royal Ghana Gold Refinery, that's the RGGR, can process the entire volume of the gold exported from Ghana within 300 working days and process others from neighboring countries. It is a public-private partnership between the Bank of Ghana, which took over the stake of Precious Minerals Marketing Company, and Rosie Royal Minerals Limited. All right, so that is the story. And then he also spoke about the gold purchase program. Touching on the gold purchase program of the Bank of Ghana, which began in 2021, Dr. Bawumia said the program and the refinery were positioning Ghana as the gold hub of Africa. In that regard, he said it marked a new era for the country and ushered the country into its vision of building a resilient economy anchored on the mineral resources of the country in a golden age of natural resource governance. Let me go to page 13 and end there. I'll end on page 13 quickly. Former President John Dramani Mahama did not receive a bribe or engage in any corrupt practice in relation to the purchase of 3 military aircraft from aerospace giants Airbus, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has concluded. Now, in its investigative report, the OSP further found that Mr. Mahama did not allow the high offices of vice president or president to be used for corrupt practices during the negotiations for the purchase of the aircraft between 2009 and 2015, while no public officials involved in the aircraft purchase were found to have also engaged in any corrupt act. I'll just do this last bit. The OSP further came to a determination that there was no evidence to suggest that Samuel Adam Mahama, a brother of the former president and an agent involved in the deal on behalf of Airbus, as well as other agents, obtained favors from former President Mahama or became a conduit for the payment of bribes to the former president or any public official. And finally, the Office of the AG has appealed to the Supreme Court to reverse the Court of Appeal decision to acquit and discharge Minority Leader Dr. Kasilatu Forson and businessman Richard Jakba. Your take. I'll start with you, Afil Moni.
Ours is a country governed by rules, and our laws offer the presumption of innocence to everyone until proven guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. Even though His Excellency former President Mahama had been bristling with confidence that his hands were clean, at least he suffered some flex out of this case, because whether he likes it or not, it is something which brought some asterisk against his reputation as a former leader. And OSP has put a finality to this case.
What do you think the symbolism or meaning of this is ahead of election 2024? The NDC, I have heard say he is squeaky clean, he is this and that. What does this mean ahead of the elections for the former president?
The good news is that for once, this issue has been cleared. Even though MPP predictably is not happy, calling the ruling shambolic, incompetence, and all that. This is the opinion to which they are fully entitled. But His Excellency the President and NDC family as a whole will save this, something which has cleared the way for them to go out there to campaign to in an attempt to return to power. But let's look at the other side of this ruling. Okay. It comes with some blazing beacon, warning public officials not
to stay away.
Yeah, stay away from conflict of interest issues.
And for me, I would have two: the Kanazue businessman, the Bekinabe businessman issue. Though the former president,
you mean the Ford Explorer?
Ford Explorer,
yeah,
didn't use the vehicle, just put it in the pool for. Probably shouldn't have gone there.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get it. Best of intentions, but you got to yourself. Similar situation. So maybe there's a lesson in there, like it said.
The key lesson is that, and this is a fountain every politician should drink, that never find yourself willfully in any conflictual situation.
Right.
Any situation which will conflict with your office. And this one point we need to highlight as we analyze this story.
All right, don't get involved. Very quickly, would you like to react to the AG going to the Apex Court? Very quickly, so that you can get
authorities have spoken against the AG's attempt to go to the Supreme Court to have the
Court of Appeal ruling
reversed. Oh, yeah. According to me, it's marks of political vendetta, and I think many are inclined to go with that opinion that the Attorney General is going beyond bounds in pushing.
He's going beyond bounds.
Yeah, that's his opinion.
Okay. Kofi Kapito.
I'm laughing.
Do I smell mischief?
You can smell an elephant.
I can smell an elephant. All right, quick thoughts. I want us to get into your papers.
Let me tell you what, it is interesting. Like I said, my biggest issue, my mother didn't even go to class 1. So when my mother makes mistakes in terms of academic-wise, I can excuse my mother because she hasn't learned the system.
Right.
But I have a problem with quote-unquote educated people who mislead Ghanaians. Because you at least have been taught a system or a formula So let it apply to me so that it will benefit my interest. Look, we are talking about this OSP thing. To me, I'm happy that it was... my only problem with this whole OSP from day one was the way we went about it.
Okay.
I beg you. I don't know whether we brought the American one. If it's the American one, the OSP's office is not a permanent office in America.
Right.
It's a cage-based thing. So why are we making an OSP a permanent thing? Because it was politically good for a particular time. This same OSP that this same government brought him, the same government is chasing him. Same government is accusing him. Are you getting my point? So the question is, what are we doing to ourselves? When we learn, like so they say in Tree, we'll be on power seminar. I mean, and this is what we do. And I get angry. I get angry that Ghana, we are wasting money to do things. If they want to go to the Court of Appeals, somebody wants to go for, that is what the courts are there for.
Supreme Court.
Okay, but my issue with this whole thing is, the Akufo-Addo one, do they have new evidence? I don't know whether in Ghana, because in
exactly,
in other
you must adduce you must adduce different further evidence before your case can be.
Try me for the same offense.
But this is an appeal of the ruling of the Court of Appeal.
Sure.
They have that legal leeway to ask the Apex Court. We feel the courts did not properly address X, Y, Z, for which reason we think you at the Apex Court should give finality to the issue by ruling on it. Which is true.
And then somebody can also go to the Supreme Court. Right. That's what the courts are there. Somebody can go to review.
Right.
I like the system. Right. I don't like fighting. Look, let me tell you what. This thing that we do, and the gold thing, you mentioned the gold thing, right?
Yeah.
Look, we you know, I don't know whether it's the headlines or the people who are supposedly telling us this really have it tight. One of the former GIA bosses, right? He said he was so sad. He went for this international refinery gold thing in Dubai. And he said when they went, they had the number of whatever Ghana has exported.
Yeah.
And then when he got there, the people told him that whatever you have exported 3 times that amount.
No, but I mean, it's not just Abu Dhabi or wherever. India, I've heard similar reports where India would say, in X year, per our figures, we imported X amount of gold from Ghana. And the fraction that, in fact, one country alone, what we had exported was more than the totality of what we said we had exported that year.
That is my point.
So
that is my point. So what are we doing? Is it because we don't like, you see, ask anybody, an American, typical American, you have a gun on his head. You are going to shoot him.
No gun trick on the show, please.
Hold on. Before you shoot the guy, do you know what he'll tell you? He'll tell you, God bless America. Because they believe in America. They live America. How many Ghanaians will be arrested outside and deny that they are not Ghanaians? Ghanaians are arrested at me, Ghanaian.
Kofi, the point is that in terms of democracy, no country is purer than pure.
I agree.
Whiter than white.
But somebody is better. But somebody is better. Somebody is better.
What happened about 4 years ago?
Yeah.
When a city
I know where you're
attempted
the Capitol, the Capitol building riot.
Yeah, because he was able to convince people.
Yeah. But Kofi has already said that he feels Trump is acting like an African leader. Let's get into your papers. I know you have a stack of 3, so I'll come to you quickly, just the headlines, because some of the stories we've already looked at. Then we get into. So
OSP nails Mahama, confirms government official 1 status. That is the custodian. Massive boost for domestic revenue generation. Bamia opens modern gold refinery. The Daily Searchlight. OSP conducts lazy, shambolic, and incompetent probe into Airbus scandal. AG appeals Jakpa to force acquittal to Supreme Court. And
you know what's interesting? If it had gone the other way, and he had hanged Mahama, the story would
have
probably
been different.
OSP hangs Mahama.
Yeah.
OSP proves Mahama is corrupt. OSP this. But like I said, some of the newspapers, honestly, as a media person, I read why from different. For example, the gold story, the Baumia gold story, I had read it from Forbes online before reading it today. A lot of these I'll read from entities that I know will give me credibility.
They are independent.
Apart from my own, group, the multimedia group. So some of these papers, honestly, when I read them, especially with my foreknowledge of where they stand, I read them with a grain of salt. I don't pay any attention to it.
Ben,
as a media person, I don't, honestly.
And you can see that one critical element in journalism is so conspicuous by its absence in all these headlines, objectivity.
Yeah.
And theoretically, objectivity is the purest gem of journalism. So ours is to objectivize issues, to enable media content consumers to make informed decisions. But
the point is, put the bare facts out there.
Exactly.
Let the people
go through
reason through them, read between the lines. But you see some of the headlines and obvious.
Failed woefully this morning. They have failed their.
Well, it is what it is.
But you're talking about if the results are being on the other side.
Yeah.
The things you see.
The headlines you would have seen.
When I was a kid, and sometimes I ask myself, the Nkrumah that we are hailing Nkrumah today, when Nkrumah was overthrown, we used to sing us a little bit, Sidi Kwasiebi Tri Daso, Sidi Kwasiebi, we're insulting Nkrumah.
Yeah. I remember, I've been told.
Nkrumah Janio, Kotroka,
because he had put his head on.
I'm just saying, we do those things without even thinking.
Yeah, ignorance.
Look, in terms of, they say, Keeper's House, Chapel and Rose, 420 onto NHIS. Are they their members or people from their neighborhood? If you enroll your own members, it's their own money that you've taken to go and enroll them. But it's a good thing. Baumia pledges to reduce mining export tax. But there is not promising to reduce car duties at the port.
The pledges are piling up, aren't they?
To do what?
Yeah, he's promised.
Kofi?
Yeah.
To do what?
Yeah, he's promised
Kofi?
to address.
Address what? Listen, politicians, when they are not in power, what they talk is they say when a man is in the water,
drowning,
and if you take him out of the water, the same mouth that he was doing, he will use the same mouth to insult you.
I think what we've not seen, what we've not seen so far is someone promise to veer into the territory of an alchemist. Maybe promise that when you make me president, I'll turn stones into gold. I guess that's the only thing we've not heard
but
now.
We cannot look. You know why Mr. Lancho Martins, one of his pillars says that we need to look at the Constitution. The Constitution needs to be when they go for that debate, if they will go for a debate.
But it is human beings.
What I'm saying is if you go
the Constitution.
No, let me explain.
So we should start from the basics.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Remember when Obama came down, he said that we should build strong institutions.
Yeah.
I told him that what he's telling me doesn't make any sense. People don't understand. I say, no, we need a strong man to build a strong institution. Institutions don't build themselves.
Let me ask you an interesting question. Is Paul Kagame a strong man?
He's a strong man. Very strong. Very, 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 very strong.
Is that what Ghana needs?
Maybe even better than Paul Kagame.
Let me ask you another question.
Sure.
You actually look like him in a way. Do you know where I'm going? Do you know where I'm going?
No,
was Rawlings a strong man?
He was a strong man at a certain point until he himself also became like a typical Ghanaian. So that money is very, very important. Yeah, that is what got wrong. Let me tell you what. When Rawlings was sworn in, when he became the president,
civilian president,
my mother was affected by Rawlings. Okay, so I have something that I didn't like about Rawlings. But he gave a speech. He said he was young. Certain things that he did was wrong. Okay, we should forgive him. But the revolution still continues in the democratic space. That's the word he used. Go and check that thing. And I said, this man is not serious. Because guess what? I saw Rawlings. I was locked up at Bema camp for 22 days. Bae Chamfor was the one who came to release me. So I saw them. But later on, look, people talk about military, the shortest, I don't have a problem. But once they stay longer, they become corrupt just like any other individual. Cuba, go to Cuba right now. Every lucrative business in Cuba is owned by Castro's family. Cuba.
If you say every, and I've lived in Cuba, relax.
Yes.
If you say every,
I say lucrative. I didn't say every business.
But,
I didn't say every
but I
business.
know the Castro brothers.
No. You check. You check. I'm just saying that the question.
No, the bone of contention is every.
No, I'm for democracy. I'd rather have democracy than to have a coup d'etat.
All right.
Sometimes, like the guy in Burkina Faso, when he came, people held him.
Yeah.
But now he has entrenched himself. For how long? You say you are coming to remove
but they've given a term, haven't they? A period within which
they do that all the time.
Are you?
Everywhere they go. Look,
so right now I'm curious. We have to go. All the issues here, we've already dealt with them. Mahama, AG, the Adenta Dodowa route. We've already looked at them. Before we go, though, we have about 2 minutes before we go. Civilian dispensation, military dispensation, Bobo, and no one is calling for any military, whatever, relax. Where do we go from here?
To me, we should try the civilian thing until we get it better.
Since 1992, when we abandoned the bullet course and embraced the ballot box as means of choosing our leaders, we've come a long way as a democracy, but we still have a lot of pitfalls. And we need to learn from them. And the media should play their role of holding to account people in positions of power and authority.
Right.
So that we allow leaders to have their way. Some, for obvious reasons, will shy away from holding leaders accountable because of where their bread is buttered. But if our democracy should thrive, if the democracy continue to serve as a beacon of accomplishment in Africa, then the media should up their game to ensure that politicians match their promises with delivery.
All right. You know what, Ben, let me tell you what. We talk about...
So these will be your final words.
Yeah, we talk about Sagleme and all those things. What annoys me, they pretend as if it's their money.
Yeah.
The leaders that come and then they abandon or they start. Akufo did Asokore-Mampong. You remember? This.
I remember that thing. It was there for a long while.
Yes.
I think it was it not the first term of.
I'm just saying.
No, I've done quite that. And you see, it's even so political because it was done by Akufo. So
let me. Ben, what even kills me is we say we are building for affordable houses for people who cannot afford the high end.
It's the same politicians.
It's the same politicians who go and buy it. Look. When you say, they say you are comparing, but the man has done something right. In countries that are much more advanced, they will build buildings. It's for a certain income.
Bracket.
Ben, if even I can pay 10 times the rent, they will tell me my salary is above, so I don't qualify.
Exactly. Right. Okay, so we have to go. Later, after Prime Take, I'll be sharing my blunt thoughts with you. I've titled it, A Tale of Two Cities, Ghana's Classist Society and the Vileness of Our Misleadership. A Tale of Two Cities, Ghana's Classist Society and the Vileness of Our Misleadership. That I'll bring to you later, but let me celebrate. This one says, from mom to son, happy birthday to my son, a young talent of Kengit FC, Joshua Ansan. May the Lord favor you and may he enlarge your coast beyond your wildest dreams. Happy birthday, my son. It is from your mom, Esther Ansan, to you, Joshua Ansan. Happy birthday to you. Here's another one coming through from Muftau Nabila Abdullah. He says, happy birthday to Abigail Yen. May this year bring you closer to your dreams. You deserve nothing but the best, and I hope this day is as wonderful as you are. Of course, I'd also like to celebrate Mudasiru for clothing me, granting me this beautiful piece to dawn this morning. Before we get into Prime Take with Muftau Nabila Abdul, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment every weekday, and they're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra, at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma Bwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswa, and Esiamanzama. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Those who joined us for the news review, Kofi Capito, Chief Executive, Consumer Protection Agency.
I have a tax for the former GGA president.
What is it?
He's talking about the media. I think the media should take a campaign to us talk about the reform or whatever that the constitution that we all know is a problem in the Fourth Republic. That should be one of the main things that the media, because if the constitution is not looked at again,
right,
whether up or down, we won't get anywhere.
All right. Maybe we should have a national dialogue on the Constitution, but we have the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission's work gathering dust. We were also joined by Afil Moni, former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. Up next, Muftau Nabila with Prime Take. Do enjoy.
Coach, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
I like your cap.
Well, you know, we are working for Ghana.
Yeah.
So definitely you should look like a Ghanaian.
You look like... and then that outfit, you look pretty young in it.
Yes, you know, when you are able to look after yourself well, I think you will still look young till you go back to your God.
So how old are you?
It's my problem.
Oh, this is my problem. So when were you born?
Let's go through.
No, when were you born?
October.
October 1960, 1930, 1950?
60. 5/10/60.
Wow. 1960. Hey,
5/10/60.
Hey, Kochi. You look younger than that. You look younger than that. So, where were you born?
Well, I was born in Sawam,
okay.
Zongo. Precise. School there. Started my football there. So I would say all my life, if it comes to football, all my life was football throughout. So I would tell you I'm a practical, genuine Zongo boy from Sawam.
Practical, genuine Zongo boy
yes.
from Sawam.
Yes.
And you stayed in Sawam all your life?
All my life till football takes me out.
Wow.
Yes.
But what tribe are you?
Is that?
What tribe are you? You speak Hausa?
I have all the tribes in my family, but I'm Hausa and Ada Krobo.
Oh, okay.
So you see, at the end of the name, there's a name called Kavuti, just from Pong and then Somaya area.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So my house is there.
The Kavuti, what does it mean?
Why are you asking so many questions? Let's go.
What does it mean? What does
let's go.
You don't even understand your own language.
It's a fact. It's a fact. Because two of my siblings, they grew up there.
Oh,
but
okay.
I am the firstborn of the family.
Oh, okay.
So my other side of grandmother also took me away.
Oh,
so
okay.
seriously, so anytime they talk about, when I go there and they start talking, I use their gun to answer a lot of questions. But gradually I'm picking up.
Oh, Kochi, you've been left behind.
No.
You've been left behind.
No, yes, but I've been paying visit. I go there all the time.
No, you go there all the time, but you've been left behind in terms of the language.
Well, it's a fact. But the children are okay with it.
They speak.
They speak well.
Very well.
Very, very well.
Oh, well, then that one you've tried.
Because I did not do the mistake my parents did.
Okay.
You know, I always advise if you married an awake woman,
okay,
make sure the children can talk away.
Okay.
Yes, because I experienced something when I went to Togo. Some part of me are from Togo.
Okay.
I went to Togo. They just open my room, they talk Kotokoli, and they go. Whether I got it or not, they don't care. They don't care. Till my brother will come and say this and that. It wasn't easy for me. So I learned a lot of things out of it that no. Try to teach your children your local language. Is very, very important.
Then you really
even my children in Britain and Europe, I've been telling them, look, I don't want the grandchildren to come home unless you speak English before you can talk to them. And they are in Britain. So this, I've been talking to people, try to teach them the language because it's very, very important.
How many children do you have?
7.
You have 7 children?
Yes, but some are coming more.
You're a proper striker?
Yes, no, it should have been more than the number, but let's take it 7.
No, it should have been more than 7.
Yeah, they are more than 7.
Hey, so you don't only strike well on the field, you strike well in the bedroom?
Well, I want my family to be big. You know, it is also very important in the local setting that you have a big family. You solve your own problems. If you're a big family, you solve your own problems. And I have a WhatsApp with myself and my only children.
Oh, okay.
We talk a lot on it. We solve our problems, this and that. So anytime I'm with them, I feel proud of myself.
7 children with how many wives?
Oh, 1.
1 wife? 1. Is a man with 1 wife?
Oh, 1. Because the work will not give me the chances to go. You know, today you are home, tomorrow you are here. Tomorrow is too much for me.
Then you have plenty girlfriends outside?
No, for girlfriends, forget that was then.
Then?
Yes.
You had plenty girlfriends?
No, the guy, if you see me, you know when I was young like you, I was nice, and you know, women like names.
Yeah.
Women, they like names, and all along from the tender age to today, is sports throughout. And I'm very, very self-disciplined, seriously. You will never see me out, even in some. Seeing me outside is around 4 o'clock. I'll go to my base, not base, just there will pray 6, 7, and I'll go back home. This all my here. I'm in Accra, but people don't see me. I'm losing.
So all the numerous girlfriends you had, you never had a child with any of them?
Oh, I had two. One at Kasua, one and the other two at Mambo.
Oh, okay.
Ashanti. She's living in Europe. She's called Karim.
Oh, okay.
And the one here to Zainab.
Oh, okay.
So Zainab Zita. Zita. She's Zita.
Oh, okay. Then you strike where you don't miss.
No.
When you strike, you score.
What is the essence of living in the world?
How did you get into football?
Well, it's like schooling. We start from school, and I did all sports, running, doing this, play. But it was like for the football, it was me. People come to take me to some villages to go and play for them. And I was a striker. I started as a goalkeeper, then to a striker. We went outside to play the game during the early stages, and then the left winger got injured, so I said I can play, and I went there to play. But outside the school or outside, I play as number 9. But when I come home, I play as number 3.
Were you a community champion?
Yes. Seriously, I was. Or I were.
How would you describe those days?
It was fantastic, especially when, that time people enjoy these school activities. When it comes to sports in school, look, I run, I play, very learned, you see. So it's like anywhere I go, Zito is here, Zito is here, Zito is here. And people were pampering me like, they admired me. And my father too gave me a lot of backing. Yeah.
And so which club did you start your football with? So just take that story from where you started your football with all the way up to the national team.
In Sawam, we have a coach team.
Okay.
And I play for one Mr. Opoku working at Canary, in some Canary.
Okay.
So along the line, it was difficult for me when I was growing up. No money, nothing. Sometimes, anytime I talk about this, I feel it. I feel today my father is alive. I'll go to school without job money. There was a time, my father is a mason, a very intelligent mason. He went and get a job and then charge less than what he's supposed to charge because he want to
do the job and get the money.
To get the money because of me. And he ended up in police station. They took him to court. And then when he narrated his story, the judge said, do you see this job and the money you give to this old man much? He said, no. I said, then you should go and work and then pay him. Do all because of me.
So he did the work and was not paid out?
No, the money he received was less than what he's supposed to.
He was supposed to get?
Yes, because he wanted to come and certify my niece.
Okay.
That was the issue. So later, when he couldn't get the money to pay back, and the work too, he couldn't do it because the money was less. You understand me? So he took him to the police station, they went to the court, and then he narrated his story.
So as in, he didn't finish the job he was supposed to do for the person?
So they said,
and the man took him to court?
Yes, so pay him more, and then let him go and finish. He paid, and then my father finished the job.
So you're from a difficult home like that?
Very, very difficult home. And sometimes I even go to school without your money. While you go to work, then when you get something, you will send the boy to bring it to me in school. If not, after the recess, the afternoon, I'll go to my grandma in the market and then I'll eat. Nobody knows what is happening to me. Nobody. To the extent that, Salah, they sold.
Yeah.
Like this year, he sold a nice trouser for me. The following year, he couldn't get money so I have to go and
make some alterations. Then there was online here, black and yellow. So my friends started calling me a brass band trouser. And today I can hit my chest and tell you I have more than 30 trousers. And those who said that, I've clothed them before. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me.
How did that mold you to be who you are?
Well, in fact, anytime I look at my father, it gives me the hope to work seriously to save the family. It's a look, I was given 4 scholarships. I couldn't even go. When I went to, what do you call it, Kwauma, then because of prospectus, I have to come back and finish Form 4. No money, nothing. Very, very clever. You see how difficult I grew up. But Alhamdulillah, we thank God.
One of the things I always say often, and many of my followers on my social media handles would say this, I keep saying that may our children never be proud to say anywhere that they came from a poor home. That's actually what you have been able to do. Your children will go like, no, my father provided for me.
I told them, and especially with the firstborns, when you are able to look after a firstborn well, it means the rest of the siblings will be okay. So the whole family, from the mother's side and the father's side, and the first grandchild. First grandchild.
Oh, so
and my grandmother was loaded, but she died quick, early. So it was like I have to go back to my father. When I went to my father, I've never seen my father and the mother staying. Before I went, they divorced. So I have to be with my father alone.
So your father and mother...
They were divorced before me, even I grew up. But still, even though my mother
we grew up with the fatherly love?
Yes.
Without the motherly love?
No. Seriously.
But did you ever meet your mother?
Oh, yeah. When I grew up, because of them, I normally see them talking to the when she comes to his home. She comes to pay a visit. She would talk, blah, blah, blah. There was a time he wanted even to bring her. I said, no, leave her where she is. And let's continue our life. I'm very, very factual with myself. I try to be very honest. I don't know what separated them. Why are you bringing her now? So leave her to enjoy her life somewhere.
Leave her to enjoy her life somewhere. Yeah. You see, you mentioned that thing that really touched me, which is about the torn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I told even my grandchild, he just left for Britain last Friday. Just Friday, he left for Britain. I told him all this story.
It takes me back. You see, some of the story they often relate. It takes me back to my days in secondary school when I almost dropped out of school because of 51 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos. Yes. I remember going to my father to tell him that, I was just about to drop out of school because of 51 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos. My father could only give me 60 pesos. And guess what? My walk from my grandmother's place to my father's village was about 34 kilometers. I walked there for 60 pesos and walked back. So the moment you mentioned this, I was like, some of these things we can easily relate.
Yeah. Well, you see, you should not forget your root. You should not forget how you have been brought up. It will add a lot of positive vibe in you. It makes you work hard. It makes you fight for the future of the family. And I did that. And today, when you go to Insel, you want a poor man's house, nobody will point at my house. Nobody. Changed the life of my father.
Now let's go back to the earlier conversation, which was about the first club you started with and how you grew up to playing for Kotoko, to playing for the Black Stars and all that. Take us through that story.
Okay, as I told you, from school we played the game, and then when I finished, then I was employed by a factory called Ganaka.
Oh, okay.
Because of the man I played.
Oh, okay.
So we were there and then playing for Asamenkese Eastern Stars. So you see that most of us working with the factory goes to Asamenkese to play.
Okay.
So the then manager thought, then why not
You just come there.
So we bought the slot from Asamenkasi Eastern Stars to Ganaka. Then we qualified to the then Division 1.
Okay.
So that was the beginning. It was just the manager's brother qualified us. It was then that we brought CK, Agrifim, Kofi Paris, Ben Kusi, Ben Champo.
Those 1950s and 60s Black Stars players?
Because of Oinja.
Oh, okay.
Oinja brought me up.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm one of his pets. He likes me a lot because of my attitude towards the game. He likes me a lot. So he brought all these people to coaches. Then when we qualified to the Premier Division, that was the year they changed it to Gion Stars.
The youngsters?
Gion Stars.
Gion Stars, okay.
Where they brought in, they went to various like industrial areas where the factories are. They brought a lot of players there because we were then playing departmental leagues. So I was retired. They retired me.
They retired you how?
Because you know it's even still there. You play a club, qualify the player to the Premier Division. They will go and buy more players, and then they will tell you to go. So I decided not to play football again. So one day I was at the factory. Then I had a call that somebody wants me at the gates. I came. It was a nice gentleman in a suit like this. He said it's called Mr. Beidou from Juapon, Texas. They've also qualified to the Premier Division, and then he wants me to go and play. Then I told him I'll stop. I won't play football again. He came on the third time. Then I told my father, "Hey guy, go. You pass Pong before our town before you go." That was the motivating factor. Makes me go. When I went there, and that was the turning point.
That's how your career revived.
Straight. The following year, Kotoko came for me, and wonderfully, Kotoko.
What year was this?
That was 78, exactly with Fukunti.
Yes. So Fukunti was your playmate.
Yeah, he was playmate and his best friend up to today.
Oh wow!
He's even a brother now.
I see.
Yeah, yes. All what you see me doing, people might say or will tell you, I'm very tough, but not rough. Very, very tough. All is because of Fukunti. When you touch him, you touch me.
I see.
Yes. When you touch him, you touch me.
Oh wow.
Yes. So we all met there, and then we started our life. We were more than 60 there. So it was difficult for you even to play 2 matches continuously. I think he said something about it, but it wasn't too deep down.
Yeah. So when I had Opokunti on this show, he spoke about how it was difficult to get into the Kotoko team.
But you know that you are good. We were 17 that came, including Opokunti, from various clubs, captains and best.
Yeah, he told me he came from, was it Takwa United?
So he's Takwa Pulu.
Yes.
So, and I was in Juapon. So Asasi was in Juapon.
Oh,
he made mention Asasi.
Yeah.
Yes, Asasi J.
Yeah.
He was even about to go to Hasselhoff. So when I was like weekend, I went to Nsawam. Then somebody came to me that he's called Ajima. Yeah. And he's from Kotoko. And Sims there, you should come and I said, Sims, he said. Then we went to Sims. Then he said he wanted me to come and play for Kotoko. I said, Kotoko, I said, I'll play. I said I'll play. So from then, when he gave me the little, I think 500 or 450. I can't. It was
those days, old money.
No, our salary was 350. 3 cities, 50 pesos. Not 350.
But those
3 cities, 50. And you can use that 3 cities.
Money.
Yes, you can use it even to pay your room rent. I tell you. So when we gathered there, the first thing they took us to West region tour, West African tour. All of us. Our first match in Ghana was against Azakes. Opokunti scored a goal, 1 goal against Azakes.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So when we came back, Kotoko 1980 we lost only 1 game against Procurement Star, where Kwasi Appiah was then playing.
Yeah.
So after that, they brought him to Kotoko. So I'm his senior.
You're Kwasi Appiah senior.
I'm his senior.
At Kotoko.
At Kotoko, I'm his senior. Today, but Now he's my senior because he has been to the top coaching the national team, the senior national team. Yeah. So I've now come down for him to for me to be his junior. But originally, I'm his senior.
How would you describe the days at Kotoko like?
It was nice. It was fantastic. It was fantastic with Kwesi. The unity we are having and then continues to today. We see ourselves like brothers. From teammates to brothers. And then it was nice when we meet and then you are in between us and you are not part of the 80s. You will just ask him. We talk and laugh, remember the old days, blah blah blah. It's always nice we meet. That is why the legend association with Kotoko is vibrating.
It's very strong.
Very vibrating. Right. I'm the vice president.
Vice president one. Yes. You bring everyone under one umbrella.
Yes. And I the platform.
Oh, I see.
It was Akopa. And it seems like only those in Kumasi benefit. So I decided then I'm going the WhatsApp way. And they all married the idea. And here we are today. More than 200 and something.
I see.
Seriously.
Oh, then that's actually a very great platform.
One of the best.
You talk about how Kotoko lost only one game in the 1980s.
Yeah.
But let me have an idea of just how good was this Kotoko team within that process. And how many years did you play for Kotoko?
Well, it was 1980 to 86.
So.
And I left. Yes. So that year was only one year.
Oh, okay.
So I left to Kumapin.
Okay.
Yes, with Alanjima.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So from Kumapin, then I went outside to play. But when I was in Kumapin, that was when I took my what do you call it? Introduction coaching course.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was playing. That was
since the 80s.
88, under Coach Afrani and Abetado.
The late coach Abehado. Later Afrani.
I took the course before even went outside to play.
Did you go to the 1982 AFCON?
No, but I started and I got injured. So it was even in the news. 2 promising stars dropped. That was myself and Akwi McLean.
Oh, okay.
The 2 of us dropped due to injury.
Oh, okay.
But I was part of it.
How disappointing was it for you not to be part of that team?
No, at that time, the value of national team wasn't too high like today. And sometimes they even call you to come to play for the national team, but you prefer to play for your club. Well, there's nothing valuable, there's nothing at stake. It's just like, look, when we started this, it was Kotoko who started the campaign. Has said no, they are not playing, and then it was Kotoko, and then Hazakes and Wise. 3 of us started this campaign before us came in. Because at that time, they don't add value to the national team issues.
But having won the AFCON in 78, 82 should be something that many people would be...
It depends on the leaders. You see, at that time, playing for your club is more enjoyable, more financially equipped than playing for the national team. What is in the national team? Nothing. Even people don't value the jersey like today. Now, we only saw the benefit after our generation. You want to ask them, what were they giving? It was handshake. If all Ghanaians would be like you, footballers, Ghana would have done better than what we are doing today.
Opoku said, the president said, the only thing we can offer you is salute.
Yes, that's what he told us. It's a fact. And even when we won the 82, 83, the same thing he did to us. Salute. And you feel proud of that salute. Look, I remember we were playing, is it an African Cup or one? When the national team is being sung, you see us, I mean, weeping for hearing the national team alone. It's not about money, it's about you serving your country. But today is money.
That's very interesting. Opoku also said the same thing. He said those days football was about the passion and the desire.
Passion. It's now the... No, but we've never regretted playing football. Because up to today, we are benefiting out of the football we play. We gave our all to the clubs we play, to the nation, and we are benefiting out of it.
Did you ever play in any major competition for Ghana? Any major tournament?
No, I played there.
What about the 84 AFCON in Boaké?
No, I didn't go. But it was to 84. Oh, okay. And that was when they packed lefty to Boaké. I remember very well. So you see, there were a lot of players during that time. You can even be invited to the national team. You just go there, sit down, eat, and come back home.
Wow.
Yes, because that time you don't have some sizable number. You can call all of us to go. And when you watch myself, Sedamti, Ofeansa, and then there's another guy in Weiss. Yeah. So we were manning the 2 and 3. So it wasn't easy, but you'll be called, you play. And that time competition is about 3-4, then maybe you play 2-3 matches, you are through. It wasn't like today, you play a lot of matches for you. Yeah. So it was. It's very difficult for you to play for the national team. So when you get even 2-3 calls, you are okay. We will look at, it wasn't easy. So when you look at Joyalasa and Co, we were then very, very small. Very, around 20 or 21, like young boy like you, what are you going to do? But we were proud of ourselves when we were called.
You spoke about how you got into coaching very early. Why did you get into coaching that early?
It was engineered by Koisande. Because he's still alive.
This current Ibrahim Sande?
He was our coach.
Oh, wow.
So it was like anytime he brought an idea, our impact make meaningful to what he sees. Okay. So he sees the quality in me, and he works with me anywhere he goes. So at the end of the day, he said, it's better or it will be good for me to be a coach. Then it was then that I did the introduction on 1988 under coach.
The later
with about 40 university students from Kumasi.
Oh, okay.
We had the same course at the same time. So that was the beginning of my education as a coach. So after I came back from playing outside, I gathered my community boys, and then we formed a club called Tough Guys. Why Tough Guys? The one who was sponsoring me, bring me booze, and was nicknamed Tough Guys. So I named the club Tough Guys, supported by Zongo Youth Association.
Oh, okay.
So they supported me to that level. So we qualified to the Middle League, and then against Max Bees. It was if Max Bees beat me, Kwabibri will not qualify. So it was like when I beat Max Bees, Kwabibri. So they promised me after we won the game, they gave me Kwabibri as a coach.
Oh, okay.
That was when I left his home to assume, and there was no light.
But you created your baby called Tough Guys. Why did you leave the Tough Guys?
Because it was a second division team. Now
that's your baby?
No, that's my baby, but I want to germinate. Yes, to another level. So because now I'm beginning to take the coaching seriously.
Oh, okay.
Then because I spent a lot, when I came back, the little money I had, even though I built, I use it in supporting the team, as I told you, together with my colleagues, the Zongo Youth Association. And I decided to go and then continue the job there because I know with Oyinba Charles, there's a big platform for me to progress. And seriously, he played a good role in my life as a coach. He allowed me to go all the courses that the GFE then. I did a lot of courses, a lot of certificates. Is there? A lot of coaches. So when I went to Kwabe, the very first year I qualified to Premier Division. Very first year. But because of lack of experience, I brought in Coach Ejepeli to come and help me. And Coach Eshentu came before I left. I was about to go to America. Then Coach Addo called me. I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm home. I've even been to the embassy once. I'm going for the. He said, no, you are not going. And that is the beginning of me staying.
What were you going to do in the US?
I was going to hustle.
You're going to hustle?
Yes. And then, but now, if you take me, I'll come back.
Then I'm thinking that you come back. But let's come back. You mentioned about playing abroad before coming. Which clubs did you play abroad?
No, it was, what do you call it?
Welcome back. This is the AM show. It's time now for me to share with you my blunt thoughts for today. And I've titled them, A Tale of Two Cities, Ghana's Classist Society and the Vileness of Our Misleadership. Now, part of my title for today's blunt thoughts comes from Charles Dickens' November 26, 1859 work, A Tale of Two Cities, which my co-host, Sweetie Abochi, reminded me of just some days ago. In that work, Dickens writes in its introduction, pay attention. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In Ghana today, it is the best of times for the rich and the political class. It also is the worst of times for the poor and the ordinary masses. And that is what brings me to this right here behind me. The Right Honorable Aaron Michael Quay, former Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, who says, our forebearers brought this kind of thing. And in Nkrumah, you could be detained almost indefinitely. Why? First of all, PDA allowed your detention of the 1958 law for 5 years. When it got to 1964, he amended it and said after that, you could be given a renewal for another 5 years, almost indefinite. Next slide. Then he adds, nobody likes that today. Nevertheless, they see a hero in the man who perpetrated it against the people of Ghana. It's a contradiction. We must claim it, and we must know that if you love your freedom, you must love the MPP in Ghana today. Our people were developmental, selfless gentlemen, development-oriented, and they spoke about it all the time. Professor Michael Quay, if you are not listening, I hope someone will tell you. Nkrumah didn't become what he became overnight. He became what he became because of your forebears, political forebears. That's why he became what he became. Somewhat paranoid. But with everything that we've seen, for you to even suggest this, that because of the PDA and all of that, the MPP is the best thing since sliced bread when it comes to human rights. Where were you when students, law students, were hit with water cannon, pepper spray, lashed? Where were you? Were you in this jurisdiction? Were you in this jurisdiction in the last election when 8 lives were lost? Were you here? Let's go back down memory lane. January 2, 1964, President Kwame Nkrumah escaped another attempt on his life on that day. 5 shots were fired at him from close range. An official statement actually makes mention of the fact that the shooting had occurred while Mr. Nkrumah was walking towards his car outside his office. The assailant was arrested. The president was unhurt, but a security guard, and I'm talking about the Ametewe incident, was seriously wounded and died soon afterwards at the military hospital. Before this, there had been 4 previous attempts and others that would follow to kill the 54-year-old president at the time, all the way to 1957. In fact, if you go further, you would find that the first attempt on Nkrumah's life was made in early 1956. Guess who was doing that? Before Ghana became independent. A bomb exploded in his household in Accra while he was meeting several government ministers. No one was injured, thankfully. The August before that, he had been injured when a grenade was thrown at him on Ghana's northern frontier near the Upper Volta. People were wounded. Again, he escaped. God had a purpose for this man. The January before that, January the 9th, A bomb exploded amid a crowd cheering the president as he drove from a political rally in Accra. Yet you have all of these people who were behind these elements and their forebears who were planting these bombs in Kulungugu and other places, plotting assassination attempts like the shooting on January 2nd, 1964. They are the same people telling us today that they get offended because he became somewhat paranoid. If you do that to anybody, will the person not become paranoid? God forbid. But if anything like that had happened to any of our presidents in the Fourth Republic, how do you think they would have reacted? When we spew such things, sometimes you begin to wonder. Before these assassination attempts, one has to go and read the history and the bad blood shown by J.B. Danquah and some of the others. I'm not saying J.B. Danquah is a bad person, but vis-a-vis Nkrumah, they became bad persons eventually. What had Nkrumah been like before that bad blood? People should go and read that before they draw such, I don't want to use that word, conclusions. But let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Shall we go to the next slide? All right. Having spoken about that, and I'll come to this bit about an apology shortly. I'm going to wind very quickly. But you see, if you read the latest ISA report, the things people should be tackling rather than trying to down Nkrumah, it's useless. You will never win. Namibia, Tanzania, Burkina, everywhere you go, there's Nkrumah. You can't win that battle. You're wasting your time. However you try to, he's a seed. However you try to push him down, you're only planting him. He will grow up. Stop wasting your time. The things they should be dealing with. The latest ISA report, there should be fewer government agencies at the port to reduce revenue loss and corruption. One of the most corrupt places. They say paperless, what. Go there today and see. Regularly check if subsidies reach the right people. Audit all government procurement to ensure value for money. I keep saying, procurement in this country, if we are able to solve this one beast, we'll save billions of dollars. We'll never have any business going to the IMF. But because the corruption is there, and that is where people in government get their money, they will not deal with it. ISA is saying, deal with it. Stop talking about Nkrumah. Deal with your procurement issues. High exchange rates that have led to labor unrest, high business costs, closures, and relocation. Next slide. Then, the focus on debt repayment. Government should build up the existing sinking fund to ensure sufficient funds for repaying restructured domestic and international debts when they fall due. Now that we are not paying, right, our international debts, not meeting the requirements, eventually when they fall due, starting from around 2026, how are we going to cope? Are we thinking about that? Or is it just about another political season? And monto mame. From all the political sides, I'm tired of these politicians, these misleaders. When will you think of us? When? Next slide. Then you come to this whole bit about, oh, Monfan Teyeng. The same way you said, monto mame. Akufo-Addo recently came through talking about that Ponzi scheme economy we run. Kennedy Japan says what? Oh, apologize. We'll hear from Yahunya Otamaklu what he has to say. Let's go to the next slide. Akufo-Addo, to break the eight, therefore, we must first break that norm by acknowledging the past and present failures of the political class to provide the kind of quality leadership required to avert the mess in which we find our country today. Next slide. Kennedy says, let's go out there with humility, something the MPP finds very difficult to demonstrate. I don't know what it is that it's as though our politicians become possessed when they get into power. I don't get it. Apologize to Ghanaians and admit your mistakes before you can convince anybody to vote for you. If we ignore the hardships Ghanaians are going through, underline, hardships Ghanaians are going through, they will never accept what we are saying. It's insightful. Pay attention. Don't ignore it. Then, Nyaho Tamaklo says, the president, as Nkrumah used to do years ago, he should come out with a dawn broadcast, as Nkrumah did for all Ghanaians, to listen to his apology. Maybe that might turn the minds of the people. Let's go to the next one. And the final one. Then Finance Minister Dr. Amin Adam comes out to say, I would like to appeal to the people of this country to forgive us. It is never the intention of any government to impose hardships on its people. Yo, Yate. When you borrow without thinking, and I'm not necessarily referring to you, Dr. Amin Adam, because there was someone before you, Ken Ofori-Atta. When you borrow without thinking, especially when you borrow to line your own pockets at the expense of the taxpayer, when you had every intention of causing, then I can say that you had every intention of causing hardship to the Ghanaian. So listen, you can save your dubious apologies. Your apology means absolutely nothing, and here's why. What does your apology mean to those who have died on the back of medical issues and not being able to pay their bills? How about those who have committed suicide? Are we apologizing to them too? Will you apologize to those who are still alive but cannot pay for their medication? Are you apologizing to them too? Your government has squandered loads of money. Are you admitting that and apologizing for them, or are you going to continue blaming COVID-19 and Russia? Will your members of government, for example, maybe MPs, ministers, as a sign of goodwill, would you give up something as little as your ex-gratia, for example? I'm tempting you. Yeah. Will you give it up? Oh, as a sign of goodwill, we're going to cede our ex-gratia. Will you do that? You will not. Because you don't care about us. It's all about you. It's all about you. And that is why I feel so disgruntled when it comes to these matters, Ghana 4. Like Dr. Edu Ananayenchi, the convener of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum. He said, when you say these things, oh, I'm sorry you have the sore. Oh, I knocked your teeth out. I'm sorry. Does it replace the tooth? This new forgive us rhetoric proposed by Kennedy Japan and then the words of Dr. Amin Adam, it reminds me of that joke, and all respect to sensibilities of our brothers and sisters in the Northern Belt. But it is said that way back, a Southerner sang a song that had lyrics denigrating some people from the North. Then he went there for a music show. He failed to perform the song, but the people said, they were encouraging him to perform the song. And when he did not, they said, whether you sing it or not, we'll beat you up. I'm not proposing violence in any way. Get that clear. I'm merely saying you reap what you sow. To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That's Isaac Newton's third law of motion. You've ruined our economy while you live large. We see it. Yet you want us to forgive you. So you do what? Visit even worse penury and wickedness upon us? Like I said a few days ago, an apology is fine. I don't begrudge you for that. But if you are saying it merely because you want votes, forget it. Even worse, you hear the arrogance like that which we heard from the Attorney General recently. Oh, we are not trying to break the 8 for any selfish reason. It's for the future of Ghana. Whose future? Which future? I feel, honestly, young people in this country, I feel sad for us. And how some of us have been compromised simply because we think ethnocentric, this way, that way, MDC, MPP. Look at what will serve you well. I get so peeved sometimes. But Adjobrel, I shall wrap it up here. I shall end it here. Let us think into the future and vote wisely in election 2024. My name is Benjamin Akapo. These are my blunt thoughts shared with you, raw, hot, and edited, undiluted. God bless Ghana and make her great and strong. Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories and we have an exclusive interview we're bringing your way on the back of the Attorney General's decision to go to the Supreme Court on the back of the Dr. Kasiel Forcing case. Well, we're going to start with the Airbus saga and the Office of the Special Prosecutor stating that, well, the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has his hands clean. We'll also delve into some other issues in respect of the Dr. Bawumia situation. And I'll tell you about which situation in question we'll be addressing. But joining me in the studio, he's National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress. He's in the person of Sammy Gyamfi. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Is there a reason you are decked in white this morning?
Oh, of course. We're celebrating the victory God has given His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in the Airbus saga. Because certainly this victory is something to celebrate. It is something to shout about, because God has prepared a table for John Mahama in the presence of his enemies.
I see.
He has vindicated his innocence. He has vindicated his integrity. 7.5 years after leaving office, our father, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, stands vindicated with unblemished integrity, unassailable integrity, a legacy of incorruptibility that demonstrates or shows that indeed this man, in the many years that he has been in public service, as Deputy Minister of State, Minister of State, Member of Parliament for 3 terms, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and President of the Republic of Ghana, he served his nation dutifully in good conscience and with integrity. And not a scintilla of evidence exists to show that he engaged in any form of wrongdoing. He's been vindicated time and again. His enemies thought that they were going to bury him with this evil, concocted smear Airbus, propaganda.
Before you
but
go
once
on,
again, he's been vindicated, and that is why I'm in white, celebrating with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Okay. Before we go on, we'll come back to
and
the
Benjamin, I know that
just...
every lover of the truth, every lover of what is fair, what is just, will join us to celebrate this victory.
So you're saying that John Dramani Mahama is incorruptible and he's never been corrupt?
Never been corrupt and will never be corrupt. And his legacy is there for everybody to see. And that is why God keeps on vindicating him.
Answer this for me. Why is it that in that famous or infamous interview back then, when he was asked, have you ever been corrupt? He was caught dawdling, are you asking whether I've been corrupt as an individual, as a public official? When I had that interview with him in 2020, September 14, 2020, I gave him an opportunity to explain himself again. And he did. But my question is, if he was that squeaky clean...
What was the explanation he gave you?
Oh, he mentioned that, he had never been that. And of course, when I posed that question to him, when that question was posed to him earlier, it may have caught him off guard. He didn't expect it coming. It wasn't part of there. But he had to answer it anyway. I don't know why he hesitated. I don't know why he reacted the way he did. But I bring it up because a lot of people keep going back to that and suggesting that he hesitated because he couldn't say the truth.
I don't know their understanding or definition of hesitation. We're having an interview now, okay? And anybody who understands what goes into an interview, communications, will tell you that there are times that you will come back with a question seeking clarity when something is not clear to you or when you even need time to organize your thoughts. So the fact that you ask me a question in an interview, a general question, and I ask you to drill down to specifics, I may be organizing my thoughts. It can be
corruption is corruption, Sammy Gyamfi.
No. Because he wanted to know the specific information the interviewer was interested in, so that he doesn't start from his childhood days and whether or not he was stealing meat from his mother's soup, or whether or not he was going to school as he ought. He wanted to know what area of his life the interviewer wanted to focus on. So he asked, are you interested in my life as a private citizen or as a public officer? The interviewer said, in general. And then he gave clear, direct answers to the question. That is the most important thing. So you cannot go and pick, like the mischievous characters do, that question which he asks for the purpose of seeking clarification on the intentions of the interviewer and say that, because he sought clarification, it means he hesitated. He didn't hesitate at all. The most important thing is that this man has spent the greater part of his life in public service. My brother, it is not easy to be MP for 3 terms, deputy minister, vice president, and president, and still be able to beat your chest that, look, my hands are clean. I served my nation in good conscience and with integrity. I dare you to investigate me on any issue, and I will come out unscathed. He has shown this challenge a number of times because he knows that his record is squeaky clean. His integrity is intact. His integrity is unblemished. And he has dared the MPP times without number. You recall some of the lies they concocted against him when he was president. Oh, Mahama spent $10 million to print presidential diaries. That was a lie told by no less a person than the then opposition leader, now President Akufo-Addo. Oh, President Mahama has stolen so much money, such that today he owns luxurious plush hotels in Dubai. He owns a yacht in Tokyo. Oh, President Mahama inflated the cost of the Rich Hospital project, the Kumasi Airport Rehabilitation Project, and so on. All these wicked lies, which were concocted by the evil Dankwa Buzia Dombo MPP tradition against John Mahama, have today fallen flat. They've all been exposed for what they were, pure lies and nothing else.
Okay.
And they thought that they were going to be lucky with this Airbus matter, which today the special prosecutor has probed extensively, thoroughly, and has come out with a report before me, which we are about to discuss, which has once again vindicated the integrity of John Mahama and proven that indeed his character is above board, his integrity remains intact because he's truly incorruptible. He's truly the leader Ghana needs to win the fight against corruption.
If you read the report, it depicts the fact that the president did not receive bribes or engage in any corrupt practice in relation to the purchase of the 3 military aircraft from aerospace giants Airbus, and that he did not allow the high offices of vice president or president to be used for corrupt practices during the negotiations for the purchase of the aircraft between 2009 and 2015.
Yeah.
And again, no public officials involved in the aircraft purchase were found to have also engaged in any wrongdoing. So in other words, he's been exonerated. No evidence was adduced or established that bribes were paid. The employees of Airbus deceived Airbus or in terms of paying bribes, and that the OSP, like I said, was not able to find any evidence that the parties involved were a conduit for bribery. But it talks about the fact that the president should not have put himself in the position, the former president, which he did. You see, I keep saying, like this morning, this morning, he was too close when it comes to involvement in the commercial negotiations. And I went back this morning, I was talking about the Ford Explorer saga, Burkinabe businessman, Kanazoe, and how you can tell the president had no negative intent. But look at how it ended. And he made mention of the fact that it was in the pool back then. Why did he have to go there? So when it comes to conflict of interest, do you agree that the president should not have gone there, should not have been that close to the negotiations?
Well, thank you very much, because this question helps us to start from the beginning of this transaction.
Which is where?
For people to understand why John Mahama was involved in the commercial negotiations in the first place. Because a lot of people have heard of Airbus. They don't even know what it is. And they don't know why John Mahama had to be involved in the negotiations. So let's break it down for them. And the background of this transaction is set out from paragraph 5.20 to paragraph 5.23. This is the background of the transaction that John Mahama provided to the special prosecutor when he was interrogated. Okay? Now, let me just summarize it for you. The decision was taken sometime in August 2008 when Kofor and the MPP were in office for government to assist the Ghana Air Force replace their Fokker F-27 aircraft, which they use for peace missions, which according to the Air Force was in a bad state. So that conversation started in August of 2008. And there was a proposal for Ghana to buy what is called Spartan C-27 aircraft with a loan or a grant from the Americans. So Akufo left office, Atta Mills became president, and his vice president was John Mahama. And you know that by convention, the vice president is the chairman of the Armed Forces Council. And under the Armed Forces, you have the Air Force. So this matter came before him. And when we took office, the Air Force went beyond what they were even contemplating in 2008 under Akufo, and said that, look, about 4 of their aircrafts were all in bad condition. And so they didn't want to jeopardize the lives of their men. They wanted all the 4 aircrafts changed. So the NDC Mills Mahama government tried to pursue what the Akufo administration has started by buying the Spartan C-27 aircrafts from the Americans. But it turned out that they could not get the aircraft delivered by 2012, and that the price that they were contemplating in 2008 had changed drastically. It had increased. So they were compelled to then look for a new option. So the military command, the Ghana Air Force headquarters, in consultation with the Ministry of Defense, these are soldiers, experts, then did their own analysis and said, what other aircrafts can serve the same purpose at even a cheaper cost and can be delivered to us on time?
Right.
That is how come they fell on Airbus, what we call the CASA C-295 aircrafts.
Right.
So they, the military command, the Air Force, the Ministry of Defense, then took the decision that this is the aircraft we need.
All right.
And then they went.
For me, I don't want us to go through this.
No, hold on.
Situate for me how the former president and his brother come into the picture.
I'm going there. So then, that proposal was put before John Mahama and the government. And John Mahama was the chairman of the Armed Forces Council. And they saw that, yes, the proposals from Airbus was good. The price was competitive. Ghana was getting value for money. Cabinet approved it. And Parliament of Ghana, made up of NDC and MPP MPs, all unanimously approved that Ghana should go and buy 3 CASA 295 aircrafts from Airbus. Now, because John Mahama was the vice president and he was interested in Ghana getting a good deal, with good intentions, he participated in some of the negotiations. There were times that officers of Airbus visited Ghana and went to his office to brief him about the progress of the transaction. And anytime they went to brief him, there was another senior official of government, like the Ministry of Finance was there, or the Attorney General was there. And as chairman of the Armed Forces Council, he was being given briefings on the status of the transaction, and he was participating in the discussions. That was all. That was his role in the Airbus matter. So it is not like he was a busybody sitting somewhere who decided to intermeddle in the affairs of the military or the Ministry of Defense.
Let me, if I may read what the OSP says, I think it will situate it further as you proceed.
Yeah.
These few clauses. 6.7 says in the observations. In the observations, pardon me. In the observations of
I wanted us
OSP.
to go to 6.3 first.
No, I'll start from 6.7. You can go to 6.3 when it's your turn. The OSP found no evidence that suggests that the involvement of Foster as an, I think I may have skipped a bit. Let me just go to, okay, I think I'll start from 6. Maybe you're right, actually.
If I can just come in whilst you look for the paragraph.
No,
I know where you're going to. You're looking for the paragraph that talks about conflict of interest and all that. That should be 6.8.
So it's 6.5. 6.5.
Okay.
I'll start from 6.5.
Okay.
The OSP investigation found no evidence that former President Mahama was involved or played any role in the procurement and maintenance of the agency relationship between Airbus and Foster and his associates in respect of the purchase by the government of Ghana of military transport aircraft from Airbus. And it appears to the OSP that the direct communication and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal were actuated by good intentions on the part of the former.
Yeah.
It also appears that Foster and his associates became involved as intermediaries in the Airbus-Ghana deal after the decision by the government of Ghana in preference of the C-295 aircraft.
Can you hold there for us to discuss this?
Therefore, it seems that Foster's Airbus intermediary role at the time of his brother served as the vice president of Ghana was a case of luckless coincidence that attracted the disapproval of the UK and its authorities. And I have to add this because I know you speak lengthily on it. The OSP found no evidence that suggests that the involvement of Foster as an intermediary of Airbus and the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal between Airbus and the government of Ghana amounted to any corruption and corruption-related offense in respect of which the OSP has a mandate. And the final point, which is what I was making, 6.8. Yeah. However, it ought reasonably to have occurred to former President Mahama and the government of Ghana that the familial relationship between former President Mahama and Foster and the direct participation by former President Mahama in the communications and meetings with Airbus officials were bound to raise reasonable suspicions of improper conduct and dealings, notwithstanding any claims to good faith conduct and above-the-board dealings, especially in light of, and it goes on and on. How do you react to these? It has cleared him, exonerated. Yeah. Right? But he should have known better.
Okay. Now, first of all, let's help our audience to understand that no finding of conflict of interest was made by the Office of Special Prosecutor against John Mahama or his brother. It is very material and instructive to note that the Special Prosecutor found at paragraph 6.6 that Foster was introduced as an intermediary of Airbus in the Airbus-Ghana transaction after Ghana had already decided that it was going to buy the aircrafts from Airbus. It was after the fact that it was when Ghana had already, and when I say Ghana, I'm talking about the military command, the Air Force, the Ministry of Defense, not politicians, had already taken the decision that the best aircraft for our Air Force was a Casa 295, and they were going to buy that from Airbus. So if you read 6.6, can you read that? Can you read 6.6?
It also appears that Foster and his associates became involved as intermediaries in the Airbus-Ghana deal after the decision by the government of Ghana in preference of the C-295 aircraft.
After the decision of the government of Ghana in preference of the C-295 aircraft.
The OSP refers to it as a luckless coincidence.
Luckless coincidence. So it means that it is not because Mahama's brother was involved. That is why Ghana decided to go and buy aircrafts from a company that his brother was an intermediary of. That is settled, number one. Number two, the OSP also found at paragraph 6.16, I'm going to use you today as my deputy pastors, you know what the pastors do, so that we help people to understand this. Because I've seen a lot of people trying to put a spin on the report and create an impression that there was conflict of interest. But that is far, nothing can be farther from the truth. Now, paragraph 6.16, the OSP finds that this Airbus we are talking about already had pre-existing agency deals with Mahama's brother in other African countries like Nigeria, like Rwanda, like Uganda. It is not like...
Do we know the nature of these deals?
Yes, it is there. So you read paragraph 6.16. It's there. Just read it, paragraph 6.16. And if you want, you can add paragraph 5.28, which is the account of Samuel Adam Foster, Mahama's brother. If you don't have it, let me just read it for you.
I have 6.16.
Yeah.
Here, but
you read 6.16, I'll read 5.28. Yes.
Okay, under observations, right? The OSP's mutual legal assistance requested from the UK and US authorities.
No, 6.16.
Okay, then you read from where you are.
Okay, sure.
That's why I was asking whether
6.16. It also appears to the OSP that the relationship between Airbus and Foster and his associates was neither one-off nor peculiar to the Airbus Ghana deal. Okay. Airbus had in place similar business partnership models with Foster and his associates in respect of business promotion in other African countries before the Airbus Ghana transaction. It settles it. That this is a man who was already doing business with Airbus in other African countries even before he came to Ghana. And if you look at 5.28, when Samuel Foster Mahama was asked to tell his own side of the story, this is what he said. On his part, Samuel Adam Foster stated that he unequivocally denied accusations against him, that he was involved in any bribery activities with Ghanaian public officials or any individuals on behalf of Airbus. He recounted that from late 2009 to approximately 2015-2016, he served legitimately as a consultant and business partner for Airbus, contributing across its sectors encompassing projects in Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, and Suriname as required by Airbus.
Okay, all the way to Suriname. And in 5.21, he goes to talk about the aftermath.
There could not have been
the Kenyan
a conflict of interest because this man was already doing business with Airbus. Number two, John Mahama was not involved in his engagement as an intermediary or an agent for Airbus. That is at paragraph 6.6.
Right.
John Mahama had no hand in that. That is the finding of the special prosecutor.
Right.
Number three, this Samuel Adam Foster came into the deal when Ghana had already taken the decision to buy the aircrafts in question from Airbus. He could not have influenced Ghana's decision in any way. That is number three. Then, more importantly, to 6.8, which you read, the special prosecutor says, these are my findings, but he then proceeds to give an advice. That is his advice. We are not interested in his advice. But for whatever is worth, let's look at it. What does the advice say? He says that even though there was nothing wrong, Mahama had good intentions. There was no corruption, paragraph 6.6. There was no conflict of interest. There was no bribery whatsoever. He says that President Mahama should have known that people were bound to reasonably raise suspicions.
What's your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is that we are not interested in suspicions.
You don't agree with him?
We are interested in the bottom line. The bottom line.
You don't agree with him? You don't agree that even in corporate office,
yes,
the management of a country is like managing a big corp, but on a much larger scale.
I don't agree with him because
on a much larger scale, you don't agree, like in the US and other jurisdictions, that in your dealings, some things must be above the board. And sometimes
what should
you can have quite optics.
He should have done what? He should have done what? He should have resigned as vice president. Because Ghana, the military, the Ministry of Defense had decided to do business with Airbus.
Could we have done this?
No, hold on. A company whose agent was his brother. So he should resign as vice president or what? Or he should check his responsibility as chairman of the Armed Forces Council. What should he have done?
Could this have been executed without the former president getting involved the way in which he did? Could it have been done?
How is that even possible? That he is chairman of the Ghana Armed Forces Council. The Ghana Armed Forces gets the approval of government and parliament to go and buy aircrafts. And that John Mahama cannot even meet officials of Airbus to know the status, because all the meetings had to do with he being briefed as a chairman of the Armed Forces Council about the status of the transaction. So briefings too, he can't take it because his brother is an agent of the campaign.
I don't think that's...
That is what...
I don't think that's the point.
Because let's define...
the tenure of the negotiations and his involvement across the negotiations.
Let's define what that role, the role John Mahama played. What was it? Meetings. Airbus officials will come to Ghana and they will say, we are going to the office of the vice president, who is the chairman of the Armed Forces Council. We want to go and brief him about the negotiations, specifications, where we have got into and all that. So John Mahama should say, I will meet you.
Let me ask you this.
Because you have engaged an agent who is my brother.
Let me ask you
when the decision to buy the aircrafts predates the engagement of his brother as an agent. And his brother had no influence whatsoever on the transaction, which was even approved by the Parliament of Ghana.
Sammy Gyamfi, I want us to get the most out of this interaction. Go with me. Be that as it may, all you're saying, be that as it may, the former president wants to become president again.
Yeah.
Do you think after everything that has happened to him, the lampooning, the tags of corruption and all of that on the back of this Airbus SE deal, has he learned any lessons? Should there be lessons for the former president from this? Whatever the case may be, he's been exonerated.
Yeah, I will tell you.
Will there be lessons for him, the former president?
For me, in my humble opinion, the lessons for him is simple. The lessons for him are quite simple. That he served his nation dutifully. And when he gets that opportunity again to serve this nation on 7th of January 2025, inshallah, he must stick to his record of service with integrity and even do far more than he did in the periods that he got the opportunity to serve this country. You see, real leaders are defined not by the good things that happen to them, but even by the bad things they are taking through. It is in times of adversity that you appreciate the real character of good leaders. It's like gold. You cannot have gold in its pure state until it is taken through the fire. And you cannot appreciate the real character and vision of a leader until he's taken through the fire of accountability. John Mahama now is tried and tested. He's gone through the fire of accountability. As former vice president, former president, he has been interrogated, investigated by a statutory anti-corruption body. And he has come out squeaky clean, totally unscathed. And so this was a blessing in disguise.
Okay.
It is like what the Holy Book says, that all things work together for good to those who love God. This is a man after God's own heart, a man who clearly loves God. And so what the enemies meant for evil, God has turned it out, has turned it around as a testimony for him. Who would have known that in John Mahama's dealings with companies, he always had good intentions? If Akufo-Addo had not decided to file a complaint with the special prosecutor for John Mahama to investigate it, who would have known? Who would have known that John Mahama never took a bribe in the Airbus matter? Who would have known? This scandal would have been like a sword of Damocles hanging over his head. Who would have known? So the enemies thought they were burying him in the ground, like Joseph's brothers thought that they were selling him, to slave masters of Pharaoh. But they didn't know that John Mahama was a seed and he was going to sprout out of the ground, like Joseph ended up being Pharaoh's right-hand man in Egypt.
It's interesting.
So you see, that is what God has done. God works in mysterious ways. And that is why today, in spite of all the evil machinations of the MPP, the lies. You recall Akufo-Addo going to the bar conference to describe John Mahama as government official, one who took bribes in the Airbus matter. You recall the MPP holding a press conference castigating John Mahama over this matter. You recall that useless character who's of what uses he?
Please,
I take it back.
Please.
But that funny character.
I don't think funny.
I'm talking about a guy who said that he was going to organize a demonstration.
Just make your point. I beg you. Withdraw the word funny. I beg you. I beg of you.
You see,
Sammy Gyamfi,
the problem is,
if you want us to proceed with this, please withdraw the word funny.
So he's not funny? You think he's a serious character?
Withdraw the word funny.
Okay, so what adjective do you think I should use?
You can use anything. I mean, something. When you say someone character is funny,
okay,
in our local context,
I have a better.
Have you withdrawn funny?
I have withdrawn that one.
Okay.
That mischievous, dubious character who doesn't tell the truth. I'm talking about Abua Papu Uzubempa, who said he was going to organize a press conference against John Mahama. He was going to John Mahama's office. Special prosecutor must investigate. You recall the noise they created in this country over this matter. All that has fallen flat. All that has been exposed. They were all part of the smear campaign of the MPP to destroy the integrity of an innocent man, just like their forebears did to the founder of this nation, Osagyefo for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And they castigated him. Nkrumah has brought Kankan Nyame to Ghana. Nkrumah has stolen money in the name of Akufo-Addo Dam. He has used all our money to marry a white woman from Egypt. You recall all the wicked lies the forebears of the Dankwa, Buzia, Dombu tradition peddled against Nkrumah. It is the same thing they are doing against Mahama. If they can't beat your vision, if they can't beat your track record, they come after your character through foul means.
So let me say this. When you look at the reaction from the office of John Dramani Mahama, the first paragraph is all I'm reading. It says, the office of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama wishes to express profound satisfaction with the office of the Special Prosecutor's ruling, which exonerates the former president from allegations in the Airbus scandal. I'll just stay there. When you look at the reaction of the MPP to this, some have been pretty ferocious against the office of the Special Prosecutor. What is your viewpoint?
Sour grapes. My friend Dan Saboka. My friend Dan Saboka. You see, this whole thing, you see, the appointment of Martin Amidu, then Akufo-Addo directing his executive secretary to file a complaint with the OSP for Mahama to be investigated in the Airbus matter. It was all calculated to get something against John Mahama. They wanted that evidence so badly. Some of them said that by the time they were done with John Mahama's political career would be finished. John Mahama, they were going to prosecute him. They were going to disgrace him. They were going to embarrass him. So they wanted to exploit the anger of an NDC, a former NDC stalwart, John Mahama, Martin Amidu, against John Mahama, and say that, look, it is not us, it is Martin Amidu, NDC, near I expose John Mahama. And Martin Amidu saw through their shenanigans. And that is why Martin Amidu published an article sometime last year in which he called out the President Akufo-Addo, for mounting incessant pressure on him to indict John Mahama at all costs. Look at how devious these guys can be.
It's good you've gone the way of Martin Amidu, because when you're done, I'll also touch a bit on something else he's written.
Because this is Martin Amidu. He says that in a statement copied to Ghana Web, Martin Amidu, a former Minister for Justice and former Attorney General, accused the President of putting pressure on the Office of Special Prosecutor to revive the investigation into the Airbus scandal for political benefit. He told the President to focus on the corruption in his government and stop trying to revive the Airbus investigation, which he indicated is in coma. And you see, in all these things, one thing that I want to highlight is that the finding of the OSP, which our friends in the MPP wants to bastardize, is the same finding the UK Serious Fraud Office made in the matter. They say. So what is their beef? Look, the Special Prosecutor ended his press conference yesterday by referencing a letter that the UK SFO wrote to John Mahama's brother when they were done with their investigations. And this is what is contained in the letter. This is not...
Okay.
I just want to read the relevant portions.
Point made there.
No, let me read this.
Just that little paragraph.
That what the Special Prosecutor is saying,
let's get down to it, because
is on all fours with what the UK SFO has said.
Let's get down to it quickly.
Criminal investigations into Airbus, SC and others. I write to notify you that following a review of the evidence in your case, this is Samuel Adam Foster Mahama, John Mahama's brother, they are writing to, and consideration of the code for Crown prosecutors, a decision has been made that you are not to be prosecuted for any offense in respect of the above serious fraud investigations. That is what is in the letter. And they say that they can reconsider the decision if they get new evidence or if they find from their further review that they were wrong. And the Special Prosecutor says that from his checks, it has not come to the notice of the OSP that the SFO has reconsidered his
Okay, how do you react?
So as it stands,
how do you react,
the UK has acquitted John Mahama's brother, and the OSP in Ghana has found the same thing.
That is pretty clear. But how do you react, though? You mentioned Martin Amidu, and it's good you did, because in a recent reaction on the back of, that petition that was sent to the president in respect of the OSP, and the OSP has been cleared that there was no prima facie case per the Chief Justice. In that document, Martin Amidu writes, apart from acquiring all the immigration records of entry and departure from Ghana of Samuel Adam Mahama, and I'm sure you are privy to that, Foster, and his UK friends as part of the Airbus SE Ghana corruption investigation, I managed to secure bank accounts and statements of Samuel Adam Foster as supporting evidence. I also showed the investigation or investigative team the office of Abu Sakara Foster at the T-junction, it goes on and on, in case he was required for interrogation. This is how thorough the Airbus SE investigation was conducted by the OSP under my watch before I postponed the investigation. But it is interesting. In the very next paragraph, he says, I never published the foregoing salacious, you know what that word means, salacious facts which would have affected the 2020 elections, including the names of the hotels and apartments Samuel Adam Foster and his UK friends stayed in while in Accra for the corruption transactions facilitated by his elder brother, John Mahama. Why do you think Martin Amidu said this? Sour grapes as well?
Number one, let's put on record that this same Martin Amidu said that there was nothing in the Airbus matter and that pressure was being put on him by Akufo-Addo to pursue the matter or investigate the matter for political benefit. That is settled, okay?
I want you to do maximum 2 minutes on this.
Yes, number two, maximum. He talks about monies he found in the bank statement of Samuel Mahama. The OSP has found that all the monies paid by Airbus to Samuel Mahama was legitimate, if any monies were paid to him at all, because he was their agent, not only for the Ghana deal, but for similar deals in Nigeria, in Rwanda, in Uganda. And his work was totally legal. So if you find any money whatsoever in his bank account, it doesn't make it illegal. So that is also settled. Also, the issue of Martin Amidu says that he didn't put out salacious information about what? Names of hotels. What would names of hotels that Samuel Mahama and his business partners lodge in? What will that show? It will show nothing. So that is inconsequential. But the most important thing is that after what you read, okay, he says that the reason why he did not publish what he describes as salacious information is because it would have been unethical for him to do so, given the fact that
ahead of the election.
No, not ahead of the election only, but because he had not. No, because he had not interrogated Samuel Mahama.
Okay.
And he's a lawyer. He knows that there is the rule of odi oterem pattern. That a man
must listen to the other side.
Man cannot be judged on head. So until you listen to the other side, any information you have is nothing. You can't stand on it in law. It is totally bogus. You understand?
Okay, so as far as
you can't do anything with this publication and the quotations you read.
Okay. On the back of what happened yesterday, the pronouncement by the OSP, this has also been trending, and so I had to bring it up to hear your side of the argument. But moving on from there, and we've capped off with the Airbus issue, there's also the bit about sole sourcing in that recent Moment of Truth interaction. You titled it, Unpacking the Overpriced Sole-Sourced Contracts Awarded to the Bawumias. I want us to spend about some 4 or 5 minutes on that. What exactly do you mean? I'm looking at your statement now, but what is the thrust of it?
You see,
and sole sourcing is not new anyway, is it?
It's so sad. Yeah, sole sourcing is not new. Sole sourcing is permitted by the public procurement law under certain exceptional circumstances. What are these exceptional circumstances? Exclusivity, urgency as a result of unforeseen circumstances, emergency situations, okay, compatibility, uniformity, and so on. So there are some exceptional circumstances under which the law allows you to do sole sourcing. But the general rule is that all government procurements must go through competitive tendering so that the state can get value for money. It is only when the exceptional circumstances listed under Section 40 of the procurement law exist that the government can seek approval to do sole sourcing. But you see, in opposition, the MPP took a more radical view than this view that you and I have on sole sourcing. As for them, sole sourcing was corruption. So Akufo-Addo in August of 2016, before the election, tweeted that the era of sole sourcing will come to an end. If it was legal, why did Akufo-Addo say that sole sourcing will come to an end under his presidency? He actually created a whole ministry headed by Adwoa Safo to fight sole sourcing. But Bawumia said that Mahama was overpricing contracts through sole sourcing. He told appointees in 2017 not to abuse sole sourcing. He said they will abolish rampant sole sourcing and all that. After all the noise about sole sourcing, the MPP made in opposition, led by Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. My brother, it is sad, it is sickening, it is shocking that countless juicy contracts have been awarded to a company called Resource Access Limited, owned by Bawumia's brother Abraham Bawumia and his wife Aneta Kaminska Bawumia.
How did you establish
And all the contracts,
how did you establish this?
And all the contracts were awarded through sole sourcing illegally. All the contracts are overpriced. Now, the evidence where we put out during the press conference, we projected it for everybody to see. I will quickly forward them to you so that at least you can also attest to
I have your statement, but I just want you to...
Yeah, the evidence is that number one, 2 Cocoa Road projects were awarded to this company in 2020. There are PPA documentations that show that the 2 road projects,
the Public Procurement Authority,
i.e. Asenya Kropon Odomasia Sibrim Road, 22.18 kilometers, and Chibuso Hasowodre Bangalore Feeder Road, 14.5 kilometers, awarded through sole sourcing. Now, the Auditor General has done an audit on this matter. So this is not Sammy Gyamfi talking. And if you check the performance audit report of the Auditor General on the construction of Cocoa Roads, paragraph 58 says that Cocoa Board awarded 266 road contracts, which included these 2 for Cocoa Road Improvement Program 2, measuring the total length of, then he goes on. He says that 33 were through competitive bidding, 175 were through sole sourcing, and 58 through restrictive tendering. Thus, 87% of the projects were not procured through open competitive routes. Then you come to paragraph 65 because of time. Cocoa Board did not rigorously analyze its procurement options for value for money, but sought approval from PPA for single source sourcing and restricted tendering, thus procuring contracts which were up to 3 times more expensive than they could have been obtained through competitive tendering. And if you read paragraph 61, the Auditor General says that the sole source approvals did not meet all the requirements of the public procurement law. So the fact that the contracts, we are not saying that Bawumia's brother cannot do business like they did to President Mahama and his brother, who is a well-accomplished businessman, who did things for free for the country, like the dredging of Oddo, and yet the MPP castigated him. We are not like that. We are saying that your brother can do business, but the contract should be legal. Don't give him illegal sole source contracts. And the contracts should offer value for money. They should not be overpriced. The Auditor General is saying that in the case of these 2 Cocoa Road projects, which cost the taxpayer 83 million cedis, that is 830 billion cedis, we could have paid 1/3 the price, meaning that we have lost over 60 million, equivalent to 600 billion, as a result of Bawumia's greed and selfishness. Now, aside this contract,
you're not referring to the Vice President himself. Is it fair to bring his name into this?
Of course, because
state it as though he were the one personally involved.
When they were saying they will not run a family and friends government, what did they mean by that? When they were saying that John Mahama has given Ghana's bauxite to his brother, what did they mean by that?
Let me ask you.
The point here is that we have put out 6 contracts awarded to this company, which also includes the Sunyane Airport Rehabilitation Project. All the contracts, 25 million cedis for patching of potholes, painting of an existing terminal, and 120 meter, 30 meters wide runway of asphalt, costing the taxpayer 52.25.
You know the interesting question?
Because there was no competitive tendering.
The interesting question on the back of all this, and the last thing I want us to do is the appeal of the auditor.
But let's finish this one. That one
but the final question on for me is this. You keep talking about all of these. We've heard this before. Before the MPP came to power, the first time in 2000, stuff like this was said. 2008, when the NDC was coming, stuff like this was said. Now we're in 2024, stuff like this is being said. If indeed these people are culpable, my question to you, Sammy Gyamfi, straight answer. If the NDC comes to power, what will you do about some of these situations? That's what ordinary Ghanaians are concerned about. We are not concerned about this person, he said, she said. Are these people going to go to court? Will we see a finality to the matter?
Ben, read my lips. People will face the music of accountability relative to these shady, sleazy, dubious, inflated deals which have shortchanged this nation and made the suffering people of Ghana lose millions of cedis which could have been invested in productive ventures to improve our lives. Make no mistake about it. That NDC or Father for All is the old NDC. We, this current breed, there is nothing like Father for All in us.
All right, my final
Even John Mahama, hold on. Even John Mahama,
Right.
the protege of Atamil, says he's been exorcised of the Father for All spirit. It doesn't mean that he's going to be a father for a few people. No, he'll be father for every Ghanaian. But he is not going to show any level or a modicum of leniency to anybody who is found culpable.
The AG has appealed to the Supreme Court
prosecutions
to reverse,
will go on
to reverse the Court of Appeal decision to acquit and discharge.
Prosecutions will go on, and stolen monies will be retrieved for the right investments and for the right development.
Point made. Let's stay in the courts. The AG is back in court. He's appealing the decision by the Court of Appeal on Akufo-Addo and Jakpa.
So
your
where's
reaction?
The news? Where's the news? This is the dead matter.
What's your reaction?
He said he will file an appeal and he has filed an
The question is, how free
We've not
are
even
Dr.
been said.
Akufo-Addo and Richard Jakpa? Because it appears...
haven't you read...
The Apex Court's ruling?
Haven't you read the judgment of the Court of Appeal? The man has been disgraced. He's a sour loser. So he has
The AG is a sour loser.
Of course.
How has he been disgraced? He says he's protecting the public purse.
Massa, have you seen an attorney general take a high-profile case like this to court against politically exposed persons, and the case doesn't even cross the threshold of submission of no case? What will be that?
Are you suggesting he's going to lose at the Supreme Court as well?
From the days of Obeda Samoa as Attorney General to Martin Amidu to Akufo-Addo to Aikweo to all those Attorney Generals, whoever took such a high-profile case to court and the case was thrown out at the submission of no case level. In other words, the matter was so frivolous.
But the High Court was hearing the case. When
Listen,
the Court of Appeal came
and the higher court says the High Court had no business
ordering
the defendants to even open their defense.
Okay.
Because the case is bogus. The case is fraudulent. The case was cooked to kick out a leader of the opposition who was seen by government as a thorn in their flesh, obstructing their bad policies. They wanted to get him out because, according to them, fancies are cheap. So they thought that if they could use the court to kick out Akufo-Addo, they could win the seat through a by-election by buying votes. That is what Godfrey Tame, that disgraceful character. Yes, he's disgraceful.
No.
He's unprofessional. He has engaged in criminal contact. My brother,
disgraceful
is even charitable. An attorney general never, Benjamin, never. An attorney general who engages a represent party in extrajudicial communication.
So you will not show me respect by withdrawing.
An attorney general who tells
me.
An attorney general who tells Richard.
You want to show disrespect?
If it was you, would you have told me to withdraw? If it was you that Godfrey Dame conspired against.
The word disgraceful.
Disgraceful is being charitable.
That you take it away.
He is wicked.
Use a different word.
He is dubious.
Can you withdraw disgraceful?
What? Disgraceful?
Yes.
He is.
Can you withdraw disgraceful?
He is a shame. He's a walking shame. He's a package of shame. You go and meet Jakpa and you tell him, come and lie to a court that
we have to end the conversation.
When Jakpa says he was fit as a fiddle.
Right.
Such
we have to end the conversation.
A devious character. And he's telling us that what? He has filed an appeal?
Is National Communications Officer.
We will meet him in court.
He is National Communications Officer of the NDC, and he joined us here for this exhaustive conversation. Before we go to the next leg of our conversations, the Energy Commission and the Ministry of Energy present the 5th edition of the Energy Commission's Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge. This challenge aims at developing the research skills of senior high school students and promoting technological innovation in renewable energy. The competing schools for the northern sector are Ola Girls SHS, St. James Seminary SHS, Nkranza Technical Institute, YSHS, Ndewura Jakpa SHS, Dabokwa Technical Institute, Notre Dame Seminary SHS, and Wale Wale SHTS. Now, if you come to the southern belt, the competing schools are Ahantaman Girls SHS, Infantipim School, Wesley Grammar SHS, St. Rose's SHS, Kpando SHS, Rara SHS, Obuasi SHTS, and Wale Wale SHTS. So join us for the Northern Zonal Challenge on Saturday, the 10th of August, 2024 at 12 p.m. Live on Joy News at the Engineering Auditorium, KNUST Kumasi, and at the Great Hall on Monday, 12th August, 2024 at 10 a.m. for the Southern Zonal Challenge. This event is proudly supported by GIZ, Ashesi University, and the VRA. The media partner, Joy News. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. I am joined back in the studio by Sweetie Abochi. Welcome back. Mary Poppins. But in our next story, or at least what we're looking at now, the Attorney General's Department has filed an appeal at the Supreme Court seeking to overturn a Court of Appeal ruling that acquitted and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kassil Attoforsen and businessman Richard Jakpa in the highly publicized criminal trial. The Attorney General contends the majority of the judges misdirected themselves in the application of the fundamental principles regarding the standard of proof required in determining whether a case has been made for the accused persons to answer. We're going to be interrogating these issues as we also take a little bite at that conversation we just had. Government official one, Airbus SE, and the OSP exonerating former President John Dramani Mahama. But right now, I'll see to Sweetie Abochi. Who are those joining us for this conversation?
Well, we have two lawyers, Martin Pebu and Kweku Payne, still to join us, get some more perspective on these two issues. So let me start with you, Martin. Thank you for... can I hear Martin? Martin, you're here with us?
Yes.
Great. And
yes, I am.
Kweku Payne still is also here with us.
Okay, great. Good to see you.
Yes, thank you. So let's start with the issue of this Airbus deal before we pivot into the acquittal or the appeal that the Attorney General is filing again. What do you make of this conclusion on the investigations and the naming of former President John Dramani Mahama as the government official one and the celebration of the NDC on the back of this announcement? Let me start with you, Martin Pebu.
Well, I'll say for now, this is a truce. It's a truce, but it's not the end of that investigation. But I say so because, you see, when you watch around the world, matters that are this huge, they don't just come to a close like that with the pen of the special prosecutor. You wait. In the coming years and decades, you'll see other aspects of it pop out. Because, you know, the truth of the matter, we have to speak bluntly, is that, look, corruption is so endemic in our country that, I mean, it would be impossible to see such a transaction go without government officials benefiting from that transaction. I'm telling you.
But Martin, what's left to be discussed or what's left to come to light? If the Office of the Special Prosecutor is saying that there was no evidence to establish corruption or bribery in this case, what's left then to uncover?
Oh, but the Special Prosecutor is dealing with the evidence he has today. And I made the point that matters of this nature, they don't end like this. You remember, look, during the Rawlings regime, he was said to have taken money from Abacha. Rawlings came and denied that he never took it. More than a decade later, he confessed that he took the money from Abacha. Look, so many stories around the world. So big stories like this don't end like that. So I'm just telling you that from my experience, you know, as we grow, you read stories from all over the world. You also begin to make inferences and then you gain some judgment. You think MPP are happy? They are not happy, and they've made that very clear. So definitely, even though Special Prosecutor has closed it, they will keep prowling around for evidence. So this is not the end of this matter. It's just a truce. Yes.
I'll come back to you on the AG's issue, but let me go to Kweku Painstill now. Kweku, what do you make of this conclusion of the investigation? Martin is saying that it's not the end of it yet, but what do you say? Kweku Painstill, I think you have to unmute so we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I agree with Martin, but for additional reasons that he has not advanced. I mean, if you look at what report the special prosecutor came out, it's supposed to be the outcome of investigations that he claims he undertook. And I'll be honest with you, I'm in a location where I'm engaged in other things, so I've not been I've not been able to read the entire findings that he made, except those that I saw on the net. But what I find singularly absent in what he did, first and foremost, those gentlemen who were accused of, I mean, in the report that he received, obviously he couldn't get them, as he said. What it means is that whatever he's done is not informed by what information these people have. But what I found very strange is the fact that President Mahama lives with us in this country. I may be corrected. I don't know whether there is anything in the report that shows or suggests or intimates or gives direction as to what role Mahama played in contributing to the findings of fact that the special prosecutor has come out with. In other words, did he give a statement? And if he didn't give a statement, why didn't he give a statement? Was he invited and he refused to give a statement? You may, I mean, I don't understand. How do you say you have concluded an investigation? You issued whatever for people who are outside the jurisdiction, and the man who sits under your nose, you did not receive any invitation, he didn't send any invitation, he didn't make any contribution, and you claim that you have no evidence. How do you read that conclusion? The basics of any investigation is to invite the persons who are affected by your investigation, please. You know, because of historical records, don't forget that this is not the first time that Ghana has treated one of these reports. You remember that we also received some reports. I mean, I'm talking about President Kufuor's time, also from the SFO in England, where Dr. Sipayanki and whatever, it's a minister now in this government now. That one came with bank statements in which they lodged money. And
so you're basically saying that the OSP has not done a good job yet.
That is my basic point.
Okay.
They have not done it, and what they claim to be an investigation, I don't know, because basic investigation in a criminal matter requires that obviously, I mean, the witnesses, people that you invite are not obliged. You know, whenever you get a police statement form or one of these, they tell you that you're not obliged to say anything. But whatever you say may be taken in evidence against you. Fine enough. But how could you claim upon another investigation when those who are sitting under your nose, you don't take anything from them?
Kweku Painstill, I have to interject briefly, just for the sake of time as well. Just a quick interjection. Are you saying that this makes the report, as adduced by the OSP, bogus in any way? Are you saying that if the former president was invited and he didn't honor that invitation, it waters down the findings of the OSP? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly that and more. I'm saying more than that. In other words, you will start from the evidence, historical record, that any time that we get any of these reports from these institutions outside our jurisdiction, we treat it with levity. We pretend we've gone through when indeed what we do is a check.
But Mr. Painstill,
on the basis
Mr. Painstill, the SFO in the UK, they did not interview former President Mahama, did they?
They did not.
So what then is your point?
Evidence. Hello?
Yes, what then is your point? The SFO, in coming through with these conclusions, did not interview Mahama either, did they?
No. You see, what happens is that, with due respect, the SFO in the UK cannot invite Mahama to their country to talk to him or whatever. But what they have done is to bring it to you, this is the raw materials that we have received. And it is incumbent on our special prosecutor in Ghana to make a formal invitation. All you need to say is that we have a report with prima facie. You have been named. Okay. How did he even get to know that this is the official government one? That was stated in quotes. But we all knew. And the point of the matter is that if we have an OSP in this country who purports to be doing an investigation on the basis of what these people have sent to you, and the man that you identify now in your report, you never invited, please, I thought to be corrected. If you invited him, please. But if he did not, I will not understand.
He invited him.
Did he?
Is that Martin?
Yes, he did. They met several times. And he took interviewed him, interrogated him. He says several times. It wasn't once, it wasn't twice. And that Mahama cooperated.
With due respect, with regard to that one, then I may wish to withdraw. But then, if he interviewed him, please, then I withdraw that particular aspect of my my statement.
Okay, so just to say this, my apologies, sweetie. Are you then saying that if he was interviewed, then it lends credibility to it? Is that what you're saying now? Just give me a straight answer.
I say that because that takes
okay,
where,
Mr. Pinto, we can't keep going for the sake of time. So I just wanted a straightforward. You said it lacks credibility because he was not spoken to. I'm saying now, if he was spoken to, does it give it credibility?
No, in part. My statement.
In part. Okay.
What I said was in part.
Okay,
in other words, that's the first point that Martin made. But Martin said that notwithstanding that, if you read the report, I read the concluding part. He himself indicated that this may not be the end of his report, and that based on if you receive further evidence, then he knows what to do.
All right.
Okay, so let's focus now on this appeal that the Attorney General has filed at the Supreme Court, true to his words, seeking to overturn that ruling from the Court of Appeal. And the crux of the Attorney General's appeal is that in criminal cases, the prosecution must prove guilt of the accused beyond a reasonable doubt. And the Attorney General believes that the Court of Appeal did not apply this principle correctly, and leading to that, should I say, erroneous acquittal. What is your argument? Let me start with you, Martin Pebu.
Yeah, so, sweetie, the thing is that I struggle to understand what the Attorney General is doing. Yeah, in terms of being law, yes, but let me first say, I appreciate that he has a right to appeal. But where the situation is untenable, you don't appeal. You see, look at history. The Attorney General was lawyer for Akufo-Addo, former Foreign Affairs Minister in the Akufo regime. He was charged together with Jima, the Managing Director of NIB at the time, for causing financial laws, procurement law breaches, etc. The Court of Appeal struck down everything, similar like this. I don't remember the Attorney General pursuing an appeal, even if they filed a notice. I'm not sure, but there's no appeal was done in the Supreme Court. So sometimes you look at the evidence. Godfrey Dami has to eat the humble pie. He has to eat humble pie that, listen, this one, he plowed ahead wrongly. We kept warning him that, Master, go and take the money. But he was interested in the political vendetta. Yeah, you know, that he can get the minority leader in jail. Then they can go for the seat. You heard all the things in the Japa revelation. I mean, it's one case that has embarrassed and damaged Ghana. So he should have put an end to this case a long time ago. So this appeal further, reminds us and further entrenches the embarrassment we suffered. That's why I said I'm struggling to understand what he's doing. Here you are, Godfrey Dami. You were caught on a tape, coaching witnesses because your case is bad. Meeting in Justice Kulendi's house, something that we said Kulendi should also resign, etc. And then he's going on and on. Does he think it's about him personally? Is he the only lawyer in Ghana? Well, his only lack is that President Akufo-Addo is so corrupt. Everything Dami was trying to do was to further their corrupt ends so that there will be a by-election.
Martin Pebu, where you are veering into now is a bit problematic, that the president is corrupt and that the AG was conniving with him to engage in corruption. I think you can make your point without stating those.
Oh, oh dear, Mr. Kaku, I feel very strongly about it. It's all about the corruption. That's why this trial went on. It's the basis of it that let's use any means, foul or fair, to be able to get Atufo out so that there will be a by-election and that they will pump money to the people of Central Region in this constituency so that they can win the seat. I feel very strongly about it.
That is what someone said. Someone said that. Richard Jakpa brought up such.
He's not been able to contradict it.
Confirm that.
Yeah, he's not been able to contradict it, and we are allowed to. Look, Akufo-Addo said certain things in opposition. He said Zoom Lions contracts, they were full of corruption, etc. When he came, did he do anything? Did he do anything? So it's the same thing. Look, this it's not, even in law, I'm allowed to say so. If we don't do this, our leaders will not change. Every time, if you just keep saying, no, don't go there, you are allowing impunity. Akufo-Addo is done us so much damage, and you are trying to protect him. Yeah, I know you are doing devil's advocate. I know you are not protecting him. Look, so let's say to his face that he's the most corrupt president we've had, and that's the fruits of the corruption Dami was trying to harvest for him. That let's go on with this trial, even when there is no evidence. You see how they were struggling? You catch Dami on the tape, begging Japa, answer it for me that way. You answer it for me that way. There will be no trouble. There is pressure on me. Come on. So the trial judge should have stopped this trial long ago. And then we're just faced with that embarrassing situation until the Court of Appeal stepped in.
All right, Martin. All right, Martin.
Martin,
thank you.
Just before we conclude, though, let me find out from you, Lawyer Kweku Painso. Let me find out from you. With this process that has been initiated by the Attorney General, how do you see this concluding? It is obvious from Martin Kwebu's end that he thinks this will go nowhere, even in terms of the due process of the law. How do you see the chips falling? And I'm not asking you to state how the court will rule, but how do you see the chips falling at the end of all this?
I wish to say that I fundamentally disagree with Martin Pebu.
You fundamentally disagree with him?
Fundamentally disagree with him. You see that half of his submission is based on evidence that came to court after this appeal was lodged. So how can he even use that evidence? And that evidence, in any case, was not before the Court of Appeal. So that the basis upon which the Court of Appeal ruled was at the end of the prosecution case. So how can you rely on evidence coming thereafter to justify? It's more of a political justification than legal justification. In any case, it is my view, my personal view, that in every case, if you want to try it, this was not even a unanimous judgment. How can you rob, or, what do you call it, brush aside a minority, a judgment that was by a majority? You mean that the judge who ruled the minority is not of whatever? I don't understand Martin Pebu on this matter. He's using political reasons to justify a legal matter in court. And the point I want to make is that, as a matter of law, every case travels, whether there is merit, there is no merit, every case travels. And what you claim to be merit is based on your own assessment. Why do lawyers fight? I've ever fought a case. Every time I say it on radio, I started and I have for a loss. I went to court for a loss. I went to claim for a loss. I went even on review and I lost.
Right.
That is a right given by the Constitution by anybody. So it is not for you when you reach a certain point that you get a judgment. Why is it for the first time that a matter reaches the Court of Appeal and people want to use political pressure to stop the Attorney General from exercising a right that is conferred on him and every Ghanaian by the Constitution of this country? I'm totally surprised, and I want to make this clear.
Okay. Final point, Mr. Painso.
Yes. Yeah, so the point I'm making is that with due respect to all of those who are opposed to this, they rely on political reasons and not legal reasons. And as for politics, we'll leave it to where it is. But we're in a court of law, and the court of law must play this whole thing out.
All right.
And therefore, personally, I am not opposed, nor do I find any problem with the AQ lodging this appeal. And we say that I very well here when it is when the Supreme Court rules that we will know, and then the matter will rest there.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for those final comments. Martin Kwebu, we can hear from you now. Hello, Martin.
My father comment. Yes. So, like he said, this case is a lesson to us, and that Godfrey Dami should go for the money from Big C quickly. Because what is happening is that if he doesn't go for that money, hopefully when a new administration comes, which will not be his party, not the MP, I will personally petition for him to be prosecuted for causing financial loss. So he better go to Big C and get them to refund the money or whatever it takes to make sure that we got value, because he said we didn't get value. Big C tendered, offered to pay and he refused. So if that is so, he must go back and try to convince them, whichever way, sort out this. Otherwise, next year, I will petition for his prosecution, that Dami be prosecuted as well.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for this conversation. Interesting times ahead as we head to the Apex Court and see what happens. Of course, it's the question of the legal vacation, legal holiday, and all of that comes into the picture. We'll see how this matter goes.
But before we go, if you're stressed out about your cleaning needs, worry no more, because Dance World Services is your one-stop shop that meets all your commercial and residential cleaning needs, from pest control, janitorial and house cleaning, events cleaning, and waste management, even carpet and sofa. Whether at home or at work, we understand and know how haptic cleaning can be coupled with your busy lifestyle. And we've got great news for you. Dance World Environmental and Facility Management Services has got you covered. And we excel in whatever we do, leaving you beyond expectation. You can locate us at Excel House, opposite Regimanol Estate in Nungua Barrier, or simply call 0302-905-538 or 0555-752361. Dance World Services, beyond expectations. There's still more coming your way. We'll be back in a jiffy.
Welcome back on the AM show. Before we cap off all our conversations, this final one focusing on the Assumption for the year 2024, the Feast of Assumption, coming on August the 15th. And I am pleased to present to you two of my Catholic brother priests. I like worrying my priest and deacon friends, so I'll do them some small in the studio before we get there. But those joining the conversation, we have Reverend Father Theophilus Andor. He joins the conversation. We also have Reverend Father Derek Abbey. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are looking very white. Are you angels?
Oh, no.
You are not angels. Eh?
Oh.
Should I do with you the same way I do with my Sunday school children? It's good to have you. Which parishes are you from?
So I'm from Holy Spirit Cathedral, Adabra.
Oh, the cathedral. Yes. Okay. And
I'm from St. Paul's Catholic Church, Bay.
Oh, okay. Both of you in close proximity. So you are Reverend Father
Derek Abbey.
Derek Abbey, and you are Theophilus Andor. Okay. All right. So let's quickly get into it. I see you've whipped out your Bibles and opened them right in front of you. These are the ones with deuterocanonical books, right? Okay. So let's talk about the Assumption. For starters, what is the Assumption? What is this all about? Which one of you takes it up?
Okay. So Assumption was promulgated by Pope Pius XII on the 1st of November 1950. And basically, when we celebrate the Assumption, we are not only honoring Mary, but it is to acknowledge God's bountifulness. Okay. So the document, which is titled Munificentissimus Deus, is most bountiful God. And also the Assumption is also to celebrate our hope of the resurrection. So basically, that is all what Assumption is about.
I like your Latin. Munifi what?
Centesimus Deus.
All right. For you, what is the significance of the assumption? I just want us to break it down for those watching us before we get into what the program is. The assumption, what is it all about from your end?
So the assumption, as he said, is to celebrate our hope in the resurrection. And also the assumption is also to give us that hope that when we die, we'll definitely resurrect one day. And so as the assumption is, as we know from the document, it is that Mary, our mother, was taken up to heaven by God. And so when we talk about the assumption of Mary, as he has said, it's also to give us hope that one day when we die, we also would resurrect and also be with the Father.
And I like the symbolism of it that you bring to bear. Now this year, the Archdiocese has that first Accra Archdiocesan celebration of the Solemnity of Assumption. Why? We've always celebrated the Feast of the Assumption. What is special this time that we're about to get into? I'll start with you this time before I go to you.
So the Archbishop felt that as an Archdiocese, we should celebrate this feast or solemnity as an Archdiocese, that together we as an Archdiocese would come together, pray, and also deepen our faith, and also promulgate and also promote the faith of Catholicism in the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra.
I see. And what is the theme? You could add on to that, but can you also share the theme with us?
The theme is we wish to see Jesus, the Son of Mary, which is taken from the Gospel according to John chapter 12, verse 21. And to add up to what my brother said, when you go to the Archdiocese of Cape Kumasi, it is celebrated amongst the people at the Bon Grotto, and it is a very big celebration.
A very popular grotto.
Yes, and then you go to the Archdiocese of Cape Coast, similar. And so it has been the cry of the people in Accra Archdiocese that we also have something like that. And so the Archbishop, in responding to the wish of the people to want to see Jesus, who is the Son of Mary, decided that we start something of this sort.
And there's a pre-program, then the main program. Walk us through, both of you can walk us through what exactly we can expect.
So the pre-program, we began with the novena to Our Lady, which began on the 6th of August, that is on the Feast of the Transfiguration of the Lord, to the 11th of August, where we are having this novena in preparation to celebrate the Assumption of Mary. On the 10th of August, which is this coming Saturday, we'll have a penitential walk in the various deaneries in the Archdiocese to pray the Rosary and also to tell people about the faith and also let people know that indeed the faith in the Archdiocese is still alive and vibrant. And there will be confessions, there will be Mass, there will be counseling during this penitential walk. Then on the 11th, which is the Sunday, we are being encouraged to have adorations in our parishes. And on the 12th to the 15th, then we begin the Assumption program proper in the various grottos, which has been earmarked for the celebration.
And I'll come to you for the various grottos. I know my parish is in there, but which parishes are going to feature?
Okay, so on the 10th, like you mentioned, we are going to have deanery penitential walk. And so the various deaneries will be meeting at, they'll converge at a point and then walk to another destination, praying. And basically one of the things we are going to pray for is for a peaceful election, among other things. Then, so some of the deaneries, we have Osu Deanery, and they will begin the walk from 37. Then they'll walk through the Principal Street to Christ the King Grotto. Then we have the Tema Deanery. They would begin from Datus School to St. Joseph the Worker. Then Pei Deanery.
That's Tema Community 8.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Then Pei Deanery, we have divided ourselves into two zones, Zone A and Zone B. Zone A will meet at the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, Kotobabi, and walk through to St. Paul's Parish Bay. Then the Zone B, they would meet at the Kwabenya Community Day School and then walk through to the St. Patrick Catholic Church in Kwabenya. Then Kaneshi Deanery would also meet at St. Anthony Catholic Church, Fish Pond, and then walk to Our Lady of Assumption Catholic Church in New Achimota. Then Mamprobi also, they would meet at St. Margaret Mary Catholic Church in Dansuman, and then walk through the streets and then back to the St. Margaret Mary Parish. Now, some of the churches that have been earmarked for the celebration of the Assumption are Christ the King Parish in Cantonment. You have Margaret Mary in Dansuman. You have Kolwedo, which is in, that's St. Mary in Kolwedo. And so those in the Adam Bato Deanery, they would begin their procession, the penitential walk from Sege through the main street, that's the N1, to Kolwedo.
Okay.
So basically these are...
So that's what it's looking like. And of course, that novena has already started. And D-Day is August the 15th,
Yes.
the Feast of the Assumption. We have to go. Final words, starting with you, before you take leave of us.
So we encourage all the parishioners and faithful of the Archdiocese to partake in this maiden Assumption program, which the Archbishop is calling on all of us to partake. And we pray that we go into this celebration with an open heart and open mind, asking the Lord to fill us with His grace and also to empower us and to make us His own.
All right. Yeah.
So I would also encourage the faithful, because this is our sense of faith, and the Archbishop has accepted it, and then we also have to buy into it and then celebrate it with the necessary decorum it expects.
Right. Thank you very much, Reverend Fathers Theophilus Andor and Derek Abbey, talking to us about the Feast of the Assumption and the theme for this year's Archdiocesan celebration. We wish to see Jesus, the Son of Mary, in John 12:21. Before we go, your favorite podcast show, Bus Stop Diaries, now airs every Saturday at 4 p.m. on the Joy News channel. You can also watch and listen to all our episodes on the Joy News YouTube channel, myjoyonline.com, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Grab a chill drink and join us for another exciting journey filled with trending buzz. Before I go, let me also tell you about the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel. We call it Japa Dubai. You've seen the rest. Now is the time to see the best. Take a break from work and take a break from the South. Talk about the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa Dubai, is the place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from the stress of the South. Now this is what awaits you. An unforgettable safari experience, an amazing array of wildlife, including lions, hippopotamuses, zebras, ostriches, among many others, using our spacious and well-secured tour vehicles or quad bikes. Again, water sports such as jet skiing, boat or canoe rides, various family games to keep you and your families excited every day. They also have great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, including the Mushroom Rock, Slave Caves, and more. So escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa Dubai, for an unforgettable safari experience. The number to call is 0501 694 280 or 0248 844 463. That's how you can make your reservations or seek further inquiries. And that's also how we cap off the conversation this morning on the AM show. I do this together with Sweetie Abochi. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Do stay for Joy News Desk. Up next.